Lin ran. Wake up. Get out of bed right now. Just a little longer. The young man sprawled on the bed mumbled, pulled the quilt over his head, and rolled onto his side. Dude, you've been crashed out on this bed like a dead hog ever since yesterday's class awakening ceremony. It's already 3 in the afternoon. How can you still sleep? You awakened a zookeeper, not a hibernating black bear. Chengyang tugged hard at the edge of the quilt, but the blanket didn't budge an inch. He twisted his head toward the lower bunk. Zhu Shuai, give me a hand. I swear he signed a soul contract with the mattress. Zhu Shuai poked his head out from the bunk below. Hold on a sec. First we need to check if he's still breathing. Zhu Shuai climbed down, held a hand under Lin Rant's nose, and waited several seconds. His face turned grave. He still got breath. Chengyang let out a relieved sigh. Then Zhu Shuai added, barely any though. Piss off. Lin Rant's muffled voice came from under the covers. Chengyang's eyes lit up. He can cuss, so his brain hasn't completely rotted yet. Lin Rant's head felt stuffed full of lead, heavy and foggy. He didn't have an ounce of strength left in his body. His vision blurred for ages before he could make out the dorm ceiling. Did I really sleep this long? Lin Rant smacked his lips, his consciousness slowly clearing. Zhu Shuai stared at him, utterly dumbfounded. Holy hell. Old Lin, look at your complexion. Did you awaken some airplane hermit job yesterday? Lin Rant ignored them and rubbed his throbbing temples. A translucent light screen materialized before his eyes, lines of text rapidly assembling across his sight. You have successfully activated the unique mythic class, Lord of all spirits. Your spirit sea has been fully reconstructed. The bloodline of 10,000 creatures shall manifest before you. Due to your excessively high-class rank, your spirit force was completely drained during awakening. Current status, severe hunger. It is recommended you head outside to find food. A mythic class? Lin Rant's pupils shrank sharply. At yesterday's awakening ceremony, the awakening stone had glowed bright green, the signature hue of life-type classes. The large display screen's class evaluation had clearly stated, Zookeeper. It was the lowest tier life class available. Their homeroom teacher had sighed nonstop on stage, and all the watching students murmured in pity. Who could have guessed it was merely a cover? Drained of all spirit force? No wonder he'd collapsed the second he returned to the dorm, too exhausted to even hold his eyes open. Now even swinging his legs over the bed left his calves weak and wobbly. Old Lin, you alright? Why are you zoning out? Chengyang stared at Lin Rant's deathly pale face, anxiety gnawing at him. Don't scare me. Should I call the school medic? I'm not dying anytime soon. Lin Ran let out a long breath, finally regaining partial control over his body. The light screen kept refreshing new text. Lord of all spirits, you are far more than a mere keeper. You can perceive the hidden bloodlines of all living beings and guide them to undergo evolution. Lin Ran was about to speak when, buzz buzz buzz, the cell phone beside his pillow vibrated violently. He grabbed it, still half dazed, swiped his thumb to answer the call, and tossed the phone onto his pillow as he reached for his clothes. He hadn't noticed his thumb had tapped the speakerphone icon. Silence hung on the other end for 2 seconds. Then a cool, faintly weary voice drifted through the speaker. Lin Ran, are you awake? The instant they heard that voice, Chengyang, who'd been slipping on his shoes, jerked his hand, sending a shoe clattering to the floor. Zhu Shuai, organizing his desk, froze mid-movement. Both boys snapped their heads toward Lin Rant's bunk, stunned speechless. That voice, why was it so familiar? Just woke up. Lin Ran replied while pulling on a crumpled short-sleeve shirt. I haven't slept well these past few days. The voice on the phone continued, heavy with exhaustion. I've been turning over what you said yesterday in my head. The entire boys' dorm fell dead silent. Chengyang's eyes bulged almost out of their sockets, locked firmly on Lin Ran. Zhu Shuai forgot to breathe, his mouth hanging open. Lin Rant's hands froze midway through dressing. He glanced down at the screen. The name Su Qingxue blared out starkly on the call interface. The glowing green speaker icon beneath, it was even harder to ignore. Ahem, Lin Ran snatched the phone, desperate to turn off speaker mode. But Su Qingxue's voice didn't stop. In this era of universal class awakening, rank dictates everything. I awakened Frost Blade Sword Maiden, a combat-type class. It should have been wonderful news. But my teacher spoke with me privately. Frost Blade Sword Maiden is only an advanced class, with limited growth potential. Without a miracle, I'll almost certainly never get into a top combat academy, or join a frontline secret realm unit in the future. Lin Ran paused, his finger hovering over the mute button. In the Universal Awakening era, every person awakened a class on their 18th birthday. Combat type, support type, life type. The hierarchy was rigid and unforgiving. Su Qingxue was universally recognized as Jianghai High School beauty, and she'd drawn a combat-type class. But above advanced classes sat rare, epic, and legendary tiers. For elite academies and frontline military units, the growth ceiling of an advanced class was far too low. Lin Ran, was what you told me after the ceremony yesterday true? Su Qingshue's tone turned earnest. Inside the dorm, the two roommates held their breath, ears perked to catch every word. It's true, Lin Ran answered bluntly. Right after his awakening yesterday, the information for Lord of all Spirits vanished through his mind. When he stepped off the stage, he'd spotted Su Qingxue, brows furrowed over her limited class potential. His spirit force had already been nearly depleted then, his mind fuzzy. But as they passed each other, he'd glimpsed a second hidden bloodline path sealed inside her. So he'd casually mentioned it. He had a way to raise her rank. Su Qingshue's voice was soft, yet unwavering. If you say it's possible, I believe you. No matter what method it takes, I'm willing to try. Two intense stares bore into Lin Ran's back. Lin Ran's scalp prickled with embarrassment. Could you not say that stuff when my phone's on speaker? Let's meet tonight. Lin Ran glanced at the sky outside the window. His stomach gnawed with hunger, and his spirit force had only just barely recovered. But he needed to test exactly what his Lord of all Spirits could do. Su Qingxue was the perfect first subject. All right, Mercedes, Su Qingxue responded from the other end. I'll wait for you. The call cut off, the dial tone echoing through the silent dorm. You could hear a pin drop. Lin Ran silently stuffed his phone into his pants pocket, turning to face his two roommates below the bunk bed. Lin Ran forced a bitter smile. If I told you I was just listening to an audio novel, would you believe me? Lin Ran. Cheng Yang let out a shrill wail and threw himself to cling to Lin Ran's legs. You traitor with that honest face. That was Su Qingxue, wasn't it? There's no mistaking her voice. You only awakened a zookeeper yesterday, and today the school beauty's calling you saying she's been thinking about you? Zhu Shuai clutched his chest in heartbreak. You two are even meeting tonight? And she said she'd try anything you suggest? What even is this world? Lin Ran wobbled from being shaken back and forth. Quit overreacting. It's just a serious discussion about classes. Bullshit. Cheng Yang's face twisted with envy. Su Qingxue blew everyone away with her sword skills at the freshman ceremony. Later she crushed legends like Nai Long, Su Sheng, Kobe, Tiga, Xiao Biluo, Belial, and the idol trainees on the school beauty rankings to claim first place outright. Do you have any idea how prestigious that spot is? What do you even have going for you? Lin Ran's spirit force hadn't fully replenished yet. He didn't have the energy to bicker with these two drama queens. He threw off the quilt and climbed down the ladder. I really have important business to handle. I'll explain everything when I get back. Lin Ran wriggled free of Cheng Yang's grip, grabbed the half-empty bottle of mineral water left on the desk from the day before, and pulled open the dorm door to rush out. Lin Ran. His roommate's furious shouts echoed behind him. Don't come back tonight. Wait, no. Please come back, Brother Lin. Don't go do something unthinkable, Lin San. If you hit the big time, don't forget your bros stuck down here at the bottom. Girls' dormitory building 2. Jiang Kiki sat at her desk, staring dumbfounded at Su Qingxue. The wardrobe stood open, and Su Qingxue pulled out a snow-white knee-length dress, pairing it with a thin light coffee-colored outer coat. She turned around, letting her tightly tied high ponytail fall loose, her ink-black hair spilling over her shoulders. She dug out a tube of lip balm and dabbed it lightly across her lips. Qingxue, you've got someone special to meet, don't you? Jiang Kiki shot up from her chair and hurried over to stand in front of her. It's almost evening. Why are you changing out of your training uniform instead of grinding sword proficiency at the practice grounds? I'm meeting someone. Su Qingxue smoothed her collar, her tone calm. Who? Don't tell me it's Lin Ran. Jiang Kiki waved her hands wildly, utterly disbelieving. Qingxue, calm down first. You only awakened Frostblade Sword Maiden yesterday. That's a top-tier combat class. Right now you should be leveling up and honing your skills above all else. Su Qingxue didn't reply. Her silence was as good as a confirmation to Jiang Kiki. Jiang Kiki paced in frantic circles. I'm not saying Lin Ran's a bad guy. You two grew up together, you're close. He's decent, always kept steady grades, and he's reliable when push comes to shove. Jiang Kiki lowered her voice. But this is the Universal Awakening era. Everything shifts the second your class is revealed. You've heard the cruel gossip circulating around campus, haven't you? No one cares about who Lin Ran used to be, or if he has hidden hardships. Su Qingshue's movements paused. Jiang Kiki. Jiang Kiki instantly fell silent. What? Lin Ran will always be my friend. Su Qingxue opened a drawer and set her lip balm away. No one can stop me from chasing a better future. Least of all him. Jiang Kiki's mouth fell open, unable to find a response. Su Qingxue went on. Besides, he said he has a solution. A solution? Jiang Kiki froze for several seconds, her expression growing even more complicated. Qingxue, it's not that I don't trust you, but he only awakened a zookeeper yesterday. What possible solution could he have? You don't understand him. Su Qingxue slung a small bag over her shoulder and headed for the dorm door. Lin Ran never makes promises lightly. If he says he can do something, that means he's definitely uncovered a way. Jiang Kiki watched her retreating back and called out after her. At least be careful, and don't let a few sweet words fool you. Staring at the empty doorway, Jiang Kiki let out a long sigh. She slapped her forehead after a moment. We're doomed. Completely doomed. Qingxue was dead serious about this. Evening, Main Campus Boulevard. This was the busiest hour. Students finished dinner, heading to night training grounds and self-study rooms. Su Qingxue walked down the end of the street in her white dress. Every student's footsteps slowed to a halt. Normally, wherever Su Qingxue went, she wore her standard black and red combat uniform, paired with her standard issue longsword. Even from a distance, she radiated a cold, keep-away aura. But today, there was no sword, no combat uniform. Her long hair draped her shoulders, her white dress clean and simple, paired with plain white canvas sneakers. Countless students stared in shock. Whoa, is that Su Qingxue? Am I seeing things? She's not wearing her battle gear today? This is insane. She's already stunning normally, and dressed like this? No one can handle it. Wait, why is she dressed up like this? It's not a holiday. Does it even need to be said? She's obviously going to meet someone. The comment sparked an uproar among the boys lining the street. A date? With who? Who in this school's worthy of her? Could it be Zhao Tianyu from Class 2, who got the epic Class Thunder Berserker? He's been chasing her for almost a year. No way. He led a team into Secret Realm Zero this afternoon. He's still getting mauled by monsters in there right now. More and more students gathered, not daring to crowd too close, yet burning with curiosity. Su Qingxue kept her expression neutral, long accustomed to all the stares, her gaze fixed on the crossroads at the end of the boulevard. At the intersection, a figure hurried toward her. His hair was a wild mess. He wore a heavily wrinkled gray short sleeve, and slippers flapped on his feet. Worst of all, he clutched a half-empty bottle of mineral water in one hand. From afar, he looked nothing like someone going on a rendezvous, more like someone who'd just dragged himself out of the dorm. Lin Ran spotted Su Qingxue from far away. He lifted the hand holding the water bottle and waved. Qingxue, over here. When Su Qingxue saw him, the corners of her lips tugged upward faintly, and she quickened her pace to meet him. The crowd of students behind them froze completely. Seconds later, chatter exploded everywhere. Who's that? Someone tell me who this loser with half a water bottle is. Wait, he looks familiar. Holy crap, isn't that the guy from yesterday's awakening stage? Lin Ran from Class 3, the one who awakened the life class zookeeper. Are you kidding me? Su Qingxue dressed up like this just to meet a zookeeper after dark. What does he even have? Is she going to learn how to feed pigs from him? Dozens of cell phones rose into the air. Students were already brainstorming forum post titles. Breaking. Su Qingxue dresses up for evening date. Her partner is a worthless life class trash. Jianghai High's world collapses. School beauty allegedly won over by a zookeeper. Zhao Tianyu still getting beaten in the secret realm. His girl got stolen. Hundreds of eyes locked onto Lin Ran. He noticed all the attention, running a hand through his messy hair and taking a big gulp of mineral water. His stomach still felt hollow. The water didn't ease the emptiness, it only made the gnawing hunger worse. Did you wait long? Su Qingxue stopped in front of him, sweeping her gaze over his entire figure. She frowned at his ashen complexion and obvious dark under eyes. Are you sick? You look terrible. I'm fine. Lin Ran waved it off. The awakening ceremony drained a lot of energy yesterday. I slept way too long. His words sounded casual, but his legs felt unsteady beneath him. He feared he'd collapse from low blood sugar if he stood much longer. Let's go. Su Qingxue nodded, naturally falling into step beside him. Beneath hundreds of watching pairs of eyes, the two walked side by side toward the mountain at the back of campus. This space used to be the open-air combat arena of the old campus. After brand new advanced training halls were built on the new campus, this place was completely abandoned. Tall weeds grew waist-high all around, and several punching bags hung from iron frames, swaying gently in the evening breeze. Dusk had fully fallen. Lin Ran scanned the surroundings to make sure no random onlookers lingered, then turned to face Su Qingxue. Speak your mind. Su Qingxue cut straight to the point, her cool eyes fixed on him. What exactly did you mean yesterday when you said you have a way to raise my class rank? Lin Ran didn't answer immediately. Streaks of glowing data swirled into view within his line of sight. Lord of All Spirits class trait activated. Scanning target's bloodline. A transparent light screen visible only to Lin Ran materialized beside Su Qingxue. Su Qingxue, current class. Frost Blade Sword Maiden Advanced, Hidden Bloodline. Ancient Mythic Species, Nine-Tailed Fox Immortal Unawakened. Bloodline Compatibility, 97. Current status, Bloodline sealed away by low-tier class power, dormant. Recommended guidance plan, establish trust bond, forcibly shatter the low-tier class barrier, awaken the mythic bloodline. Ancient Mythic Species, Nine-Tailed Fox Immortal. Lin Ran stared at the screen, barely holding back his shock. He'd known Su Qingxue was talented, but never imagined she possessed potential this extraordinary. Very few people in the entire Jianghai city held mythic class potential. If the school's senior officials found out a mythic bloodline was hidden at Jianghai High, the school gates would be swarmed the very next day. Lin Ran, seeing him staring blankly at her, Su Qingxue waved a hand in front of his face. Ahem, I've seen it gazed. Lin Ran snapped back to reality, suppressing the astonishment in his eyes. Seen what? Your true potential isn't Frost Blade Sword Maiden at all. Lin Ran explained in simple terms she could understand. There's a far higher tier power sealed inside you. Su Qingxue's eyes lit up. Really? Really? Lin Ran nodded. Frost Blade Sword Maiden isn't your limit. When you awakened yesterday, the power that truly belongs to you was suppressed and couldn't fully surface. Su Qingxue stepped half a pace forward. Can you help me awaken it? I can. Lin Ran scratched his nose, his expression odd. But the class advancement ritual might be a little strange. Strange. Su Qingxue furrowed her brows slightly. Lin Ran himself was a little speechless at the thought. A prompt guide for the spirit lord of all beings had popped up in his mind. Step 1 of bond formation. Trust-based physical contact. As the lord of all spirits, you must dispel the creature's wariness. Channel your spirit tamer power into the target through bodily touch. Lin Ran fell silent. This instruction manual was awfully inappropriate, especially out here at the abandoned back mountain training grounds late at night, with only the two of them alone. Anything he said would easily sound suspicious. Lin Ran lifted his gaze to Su Qingxue, forcing his expression to look as earnest as possible. Don't tense up later. I need to touch you to channel my power into your body. Su Qingxue froze for a split second, then the tips of her ears flushed crimson. She stared at Lin Ran, clear vigilance in her eyes. What kind of touch? What exactly are you channeling into me? Lin Ran's mouth twitched. Just a normal touch. What sort of person do you take me for? Su Qingxue said nothing, only fixed him with an unblinking stare. Lin Ran's scalp prickled under her gaze, and he hurried to add, Trust me, I'm a professional at this. Su Qingxue's stare grew even stranger. Professional, my foot. Lin Ran was internally exasperated. This lousy class guide read like a scam text. What was he supposed to do? He walked over to stand in front of Su Qingxue and raised his right hand. Night wind swept across the abandoned training yard, swirling fallen leaves across the ground. He stood close enough to catch the faint scent of her shampoo tangled in her hair. Su Qingxue's body went rigid, her fingers clutching the hem of her jacket tight. She'd told herself as long as he didn't grope her it'd be fine, but as his right hand drifted toward her forehead, her ears burned hotter by the second. Lin Ran gritted his teeth and gently rested his palm on the top of her head. It was soft beneath his hand, fine strands sliding against his skin. Following the guidance in his mind, he roused the little remaining mental energy he'd recovered and let it seep into her through his palm. Su Qingxue felt a warm current pour down from the crown of her head and spread through her whole body in an instant. It wasn't uncomfortable at all. Instead, a gentle warmth unfurled, loosening her taut shoulders. Lin Ran's heart lifted. It's working. He darted his eyes to the translucent status screen floating over his retina. Forming trust bond current progress. 1 progress stalled. Warning, your technique is clumsy and lacks emotional connection. The target remains deeply guarded. Recommend switching to a gentler, soothing method. Are you kidding me? Lin Ran paled, staring at that measly 1%. His mental energy was already nearly drained dry. Was he supposed to stand here patting her head until sunrise just to fill this bar? Worse yet, the system was complaining his touch was awkward. He'd awakened the spirit lord of all beings class, not spent 10 years petting monkeys at a zoo. What's wrong? Su Qingxue noticed Lin Ran had frozen, his face twisted oddly, and asked, Did something go wrong? And nothing at all. Lin Ran forced a stiff smile. That was just the warm-up. Keeping his palm pressed to the top of her head, he stroked slowly along the direction her hair grew. You take really good care of your hair. It's so smooth. His ruffled a small section of her locks out of place. She looked up at him. What are you doing? Finding energy meridians. Lin Ran spouted nonsense with a perfectly straight face. Do you even know how class advancement rituals work? Without waiting for a reply, he plowed on, sliding his palm down the back of her head in slow, smoothing strokes, petting her hair like you'd soothe a skittish beast. This has to work, right? Su Qingshue's shoulders trembled faintly. No boy her age had ever dared touch her head like this, not in her entire life. If it had been anyone else, she would have kicked them clear across the yard. But this was Lin Ran. She pressed her lips tight and endured it. The status screen flickered again. Target shows minor resistance. Target chooses to continue trusting you. Bond progress. 2 progress. 3. Warning. Repetitive padding grows tedious for the target. Progress rate is extremely slow, and the target now regards your actions with suspicion. Lin Ran's hand froze mid-stroke. He glanced down and met Su Qingshue's doubtful eyes head-on. Lin Ran. Su Qingshue's voice turned cold. Are you deliberately taking advantage of me? I swear I'm not. Lin Ran shot his free hand up immediately, 3 fingers held upright in an oath. You've been padding away for ages, and my class panel hasn't even pinged once. Su Qingxue ground her teeth. You're treating me like a dog. If Lin Ran's face hadn't been deathly pale and covered in cold sweat, she would have turned and stormed off right then. Lin Ran grew frantic. His mental energy was screaming in exhaustion. The progress bar was crawling along at a snail's pace. If this dragged on much longer, he'd collapse before he even helped her advance. This wasn't working. He needed to break the stalemate. The system's goal was to erase her wariness and build absolute trust. Simple head pats were barely moving the needle, meaning she hadn't truly let her guard down. Lin Ran met her gaze, his tone far more earnest than before. Qingxue, I promise I have no intention of taking advantage of you. Cut to the point. Just patting your head isn't effective enough. Lin Ran bit the bullet and said, if you can accept physical contact more willingly, the progress will speed up drastically. Su Qingxue narrowed her eyes. How do I accept it more willingly? Well, Lin Ran hesitated, lowering his voice to a murmur. A hug. Silence fell over the abandoned training yard for several long seconds. Su Qingxue stared at him blankly, a mass of question marks swirling in her head. Her fair cheeks flushed bright red in the blink of an eye, her suspicion melting into flustered irritation. Lin Ran, you'd better give me a reasonable explanation right now. Why does advancing my class require a hug? It's an innate rule of the class. Lin Ran hastily stepped back half a pace. The name alone should tell you. This power relies on forging unshakable trust. You're still far too guarded around me, and the progress bar's stuck at 3%. And besides, I only said it might help, not that it's mandatory. Su Qingxue studied him closely. Lin Ran truly looked terrible, ashen-faced, his body trembling slightly. None of it seemed like an act. Could he really be telling the truth? No hugs. She bit her lower lip and compromised at last. Keep going. Only touches to my head allowed. If you dare suggest anything weird again, I'll shove this whole water bottle down your throat. Got it. Lin Ran brightened with relief and stepped forward again. If hugs were off the table, he'd just have to sell the head patting as professional as he could. He brought both hands up to rest on either side of her crown, moving extra gently as he needed, and stroked her hair slowly. From a distance, the sight looked utterly bizarre. Zhanghai High's ice-cold campus belle stood motionless, while a boy wearing slippers cupped her head and channeled his strange power into her. Target has partially dropped resistance and accepts your actions. Bond formation speed accelerated. Progress, 15 progress, 40 progress, 70 numbers rocketed across his retina. Lin Ran's heart soared, his movements growing smoother and more natural. Su Qingxue squeezed her eyes shut. As Lin Ran's power flowed through her, a warm heat welled up deep inside her body. The Frost Blade Sword Maiden class panel that had lain dormant in her spirit began shaking violently, as if something was straining to break free of its restraints. A soft, involuntary hum slipped past Su Qingxue's lips. Lin Ran's hands jolted. That sound Su Qingxue snapped back to reality, eyes flying wide, utterly mortified. What noise had she just made? The second she moved to push Lin Ran away, the screen blared a notification. Bond progress, 100. Ancient mythic bloodline awakened. Boom. Icy blue light erupted from Su Qingxue's body, flooding the entire abandoned training yard. Powerful energy surges whipped the weeds around them, sending sandbags swinging wildly back and forth. Lin Ran was already teetering on the edge of mental energy collapse. The shockwave slammed into him, his legs buckling, vision blurring, and he lurched forward headlong. Lin Ran, Su Qingxue ignored the chaotic transformation raging inside her and darted forward to catch him. Lin Ran crashed heavily into her arms. The icy blue glow slowly faded. Lin Ran leaning against her shoulder, gasping for breath. He forced his eyes open, ready to straighten himself, only to feel something soft and fuzzy coil around his wrist the next instant. It was warm, plush, and wound tight around his arm, squirming back and forth restlessly. Lin Ran froze stiff. He twisted his head awkwardly to glance down at his wrist. In the dim moonlight, a snow-white, fluffy foxtail half a meter long snaked out from beneath Su Qingshue's skirt, wrapped securely around his wrist. He lifted his gaze higher. Two fluffy white fox ears stood straight up amid her black hair, twitching faintly with every breath she took. Su Qingxue still held Lin Ran in her embrace, their bodies pressed close. She could feel the tail thrashing uncontrollably behind her, and the faint tickle of it brushing against Lin Ran's wrist. She stood rooted to the spot, dumbfounded. Lin Ran swallowed hard, staring at the twitching fox ears atop her head. Qingxue, could you loosen the tail a little? My hand's gone numb. A strange, heavy silence hung over the abandoned training grounds. Su Qingxue stood rigid, hyper-aware of the foreign sensation of her tail behind her and the warmth of Lin Ran's wrist pressed against it. In the next heartbeat, she jerked away from him, scrambling 2 steps backward. But the snow-white, fluffy fox tail half a meter long refused to obey her commands. The moment it slipped free of Lin Ran's wrist, the tip curled backward and brushed lightly across his palm, warm, soft, and faintly ticklish. Lin Ran's fingers locked in place. Su Qingshue's ears burned scarlet all the way down to her neck. She flailed her hands behind her, clamping them tight over her skirt to shove the unruly tail back out of sight. Yet the tail was far more honest than she was. Even pinned beneath her palms, it kept wriggling out between her fingers, swaying back and forth in the air. Don't look. She gritted her teeth, her voice trembling. Lin Ran had lost his balance from her sudden shove. Already drained of mental energy, he stumbled and nearly crashed to the ground, catching himself at the last second on an iron training rack. He gasped for air and lifted his head to look at her. Moonlight spilled over the empty yard. 2 luminous white fox ears poked out from her sleek black hair, twitching constantly with every shift in her emotions. Paired with her cold, exquisite features and the massive tail, she couldn't hide no matter how hard she tried. The sight was devastatingly striking. Lin Ran's mind went blank. How was he supposed to keep his composure through this? He quickly averted his eyes, fixing his gaze firmly on a tattered sandbag beside him. No way. If he stared any longer, the professional demeanor he'd fought so hard to maintain tonight would crumble completely. Qingxue, check your class panel first. Lin Ran steadied his breathing, forcing calm into his tone. The reminder pulled Su Qingxue back to their original purpose. She pushed the heat from her cheeks aside and closed her eyes to sink into her spirit sea. Seconds later, her eyes flew open wide, pupils shaking violently. The advanced Frost Blade Sword Maiden panel that had glowed blue at the center of her spirit sea had shattered and vanished entirely. In its place blazed brilliant golden text. Current class, Nine-Tailed Fox Immortal Ancient Mythic Bloodline. All her original basic swordsmanship skills were gone from the skill list, replaced by a single new ability. Shine through 10,000 rivers. Tap into the Ancient Fox Immortal Bloodline to unleash extreme ice sword chi, sweeping wide swathes of territory with countless frost blades that inflict crippling freeze damage. A mythic class. She'd actually unlocked a mythic class. Su Qingxue stared at the words, her breathing spiraling out of control. She snapped her head up to face Lin Ran, her voice shaking for the very first time. Lin Ran, do you have any idea what you just did? I patted your head, Lin Ran answered plainly. Su Qingxue's chest heaved, the urge to draw her sword overwhelming her, though she hadn't brought it with her today. A mythic class unlocked just from a head pat. It's not that simple. Lin Ran shook his still numb wrist. That drained me completely, you know. At that moment, the translucent screen floating over Lin Ran's retina flooded with new notifications. Spirit bond fully established. Target, Su Qingxue has successfully awakened an ancient mythic bloodline and become your first spirit contracted partner. Experience sharing activated. All combat experience gained by contracted partner Su Qingxue will be synced to the spirit lord of all beings unconditionally, regardless of distance. Contract partner skill sharing triggered. You have obtained a mirrored copy of your partner's racial innate skill. Shine through 10,000 rivers. As Lord of all spirits, you wield this skill perfectly without requiring Fox clan bloodline. Lin Ran stared at the new Shine through 10,000 rivers skill on his panel, falling silent for 2 full seconds. This cheat ability was absurdly overpowered. He wouldn't need to grind monsters and level up alone anymore. As long as Su Qingxue fought out in the field, experience would pour straight into his stat sheet. Even better, he'd gained free access to her mythic tier skill. Lin ran. Su Qingxue's anxious voice cut through his thoughts. How do I make these ears and tail disappear? Lin Ran refocused his attention on her. Su Qingxue strained her face, trying to suppress her transformed features. She tensed her power, and the tail went limp for barely 2 seconds before she relaxed slightly and inadvertently stirred her class energy. Pop! The white fox ears snapped straight back up, her tail puffing out twice its original size. She tried a second time, jaw clenched tight, only to fail again in less than a second. Her ears shot even higher this time. 3 attempts in a row ended in failure. As long as her 9-tailed fox immortal energy flowed through her veins, the ears and tail wouldn't retract. Lin Ran watched, barely holding back a grin. The cold, unapproachable campus belle with fluffed-up beast ears, the sight alone would shock the whole city of Zhanghai. Su Qingxue caught his barely suppressed smile and shot him a sharp glare. But her fox ears twitched twice more at her spike of irritation, instantly dismantling her icy aura and stripping away all her intimidating presence. Finished laughing yet? Su Qingxue's face burned as she ground out the words. I'm not laughing. Lin Ran cleared his throat. I don't laugh easily, unless I really can't hold it back. Su Qingxue's gaze turned deadly. Lin Ran hurried to backtrack. This happens right after awakening a new bloodline. Your power's out of your control. Once you grow accustomed to it, you'll be able to hide them when you're not fighting. Su Qingxue calmed down quickly at that explanation. She was intensely practical. If she couldn't retract the ears and tail for now, her top priority was testing the combat prowess of her new mythic class. She lifted her chin, icy blue light glinting faintly in her eyes beneath the moonlight as she stared straight at Lin Ran. Come with me to the Zero Secret Realm. Lin Ran blinked in surprise. Now? In the middle of the night? Su Qingxue nodded solemnly. The school-wide team assessment is next week. You only awakened your class yesterday, and you're already worn out like this. You don't want to collapse after 3 seconds in the arena, do you? Lin Ran's mouth twitched violently. Qingxue, don't you realize how that sounds? He shot her a flat stare. What do you mean, collapse after 3 seconds? A man never admits he can't keep up. Su Qingxue froze for half a beat. Once she caught the unintended double meaning of his words, her ears flushed red all over again. Without a word, she stepped forward and stomped hard on the slipper covering his right foot. Shut up. I meant the combat assessment. She gritted her teeth, wishing she could sew his mouth shut for good. Ah, easy, easy. Lin Ran hopped on one foot, sucking in a sharp breath of pain. Despite his teasing banter, Lin Ran's mind raced fast. Per school rules, team assessments paired one combat-type student with either a support or crowd control class. But Lin Ran's publicly listed class was the low-tier civilian-type zookeeper. Normally, he wouldn't even qualify to step foot in the assessment arena. Su Qingxue inviting him to the secret realm meant she'd already marked him as her assigned partner for the exam. Big advantage. The spirit lord of all beings' experience sharing was active. That meant if Su Qingxue tore through hordes of monsters in the secret realm, he could sit back on a rock and soak up experience without lifting a finger. Right now his body was as frail as paper. Solo hunting would just be handing himself over as monster bait. But grinding alongside the campus belle was a whole different story. Lin Ran glanced down at the newly acquired mythic skill shine through 10,000 rivers displayed on his panel and clenched his fist involuntarily. Late night. Only a boy and a girl, all alone. An invitation from the school beauty to the dungeon. How could any sane, breathing person turn this down? Lin Ran lifted his head, gaze landing on Su Qingxue, standing beneath the moonlight, her skirt swaying gently in the breeze. He nodded firmly. Let's go. At the same time, dormitory block 3 for boys at Zhanghai High School. A dull bang echoed as the dorm door was shoved open roughly. Zhao Tianyu trundled in, covered in travel dust. Expensive custom battle gear clung to his frame, stained with dark red monster blood from the dungeon. He looked utterly worn out, yet a brutal glint lingered in his eyes from hours of slaying beasts. He'd led a team into Dungeon Zero that afternoon to grind non-stop for next week's assessment, pushing himself to the brink of exhaustion until his bones ached as if ready to crumble. He'd barely reached his desk, ready to collapse straight into sleep, when his roommate poked half his torso out from the bunk, his expression twisted with complicated emotion. What's up? Zhao Tianyu twisted open a bottle of mineral water and chugged it straight down. Did you see a ghost? His roommate swallowed hard and spoke up. Tianyu, Something happened at school this afternoon. You'd better brace yourself. What's the deal? Zhao Tianyu brushed it off without a second thought. Su Qingxue, the school beauty, left campus with that Lin Ran from class 3. She hasn't come back yet. Zhao Tianyu's hand froze mid-twist on the bottle cap. His roommate ducked his head back slightly, landing the final blow. While you were getting mauled in the dungeon, your crush got stolen. Cough, cough. Zhao Tianyu choked on the water, doubling over coughing for ages before he could straighten up. He spun around, fixing his roommate with a sharp glare. What? Who's this suicidal idiot? The plastic bottle creaked violently in his tightening grip, crumpling bit by bit. His roommate quickly held out his phone. The school forum's hottest post blazed at the top of the screen, its scarlet headline glaring. Catastrophe hits Shanghai High. Su Qingxue answers invitation in white dress. Her date is yesterday's zookeeper. Beneath the headline were multiple high-definition photos and animated GIFs. In the shots, Su Qingxue stood on the main campus road bathed in sunset glow, clad in her white dress. As the boy drew near, a faint smile tugged at the corner of Su Qingxue's lips. She never wasted extra words talking to anyone normally. Zhao Tianyu stared hard at the boy's face. Messy hair, crumpled short-sleeved shirt, oversized slippers on his feet. Lin Ran from class 3, his roommate added salt to the wound. The one on the awakening platform yesterday. His occupation read zookeeper. Every single person on the playground saw it. Crack. The mineral water bottle split clean open in Zhao Tianyu's grasp. Icy water splashed all over his palms, dripping through his fingers onto the stone floor. What did you just say? Zhao Tianyu ground his back teeth raw. A zookeeper stole my girl. His roommate shrank his neck, voice dropping even quieter. It gets worse. Witnesses saw them leave school together. They haven't returned all night. Tianyu, it's the dead of night. Just the two of them alone outside. You do the math. Math my ass. Zhao Tianyu kicked a nearby chair over hard. It crashed into the bed frame with a deafening clang, shaking the entire dorm room. He'd chased Su Qingxue for nearly a full year. He could barely squeeze 2 extra sentences out of her on a regular day. Meanwhile, he'd fought until his armor cracked in the dungeon, only to come back and find Lin Ran waltzing around in slippers stealing his crush. How was he supposed to take this? What else could 2 people be doing out late at night? They certainly weren't sneaking off to steal vegetables from a garden. Zhao Tianyu didn't dare let his imagination run any further. He felt his lungs burning with unbridled rage. Lin Ran, huh? He stared at the slippers in the photo, his eyes bloodshot. Next week's team assessment, I'll see exactly how you die out there. Nighttime, on the outskirts of Shanghai City. Entrance to Dungeon 0. A circular metal archway stood in the center of the empty lot, pale blue energy runes flowing across its surface, casting a frigid glow over everything around it. This was the beginner dungeon open to all novice occupation holders in Shanghai City. Swipe your student ID, and you could enter for 24 hours straight. Lin Ran and Su Qingxue followed the path up to the arch, ready to swipe their IDs. The blue light curtain inside the arch suddenly shuddered. Thud! Bang! A string of dull crashes followed, for figures tumbling out of the light curtain and crashing onto the stone entrance steps. Lin Ran halted his steps, raising an eyebrow as he watching. The 4 of them looked absolutely devastated. The boy leading the group had half his iron armor shattered open, 3 deep claw marks tearing through his undergarment on his chest. A clump of his hair was singed, wispy smoke curling off it. His 3 teammates fared no better. One leaned heavily on a broken sword, his legs shaking too badly to stand steady. Another's protective suit split wide down the back, tattered strips of cloth hanging all over his body. The last lay flat on the ground, eyes rolled back, his mana depleted to the point he could barely lift a hand. The lead boy scrambled upright, pulling a half-empty red recovery potion from his storage ring and chugging it in one go. After swallowing the liquid, his heaving chest slowly steadied. He lifted his gaze and spotted Lin Ran and Su Qingxue. The empty potion bottle slipped from his grasp and clattered onto the stone ground. The leader froze, his eyes darting back and forth between the 2 of them twice over. Su Qingxue had slipped her light tin coat back on, suppressing her 9-tailed fox immortal mana. Her fox ears and tails were hidden out of sight. Yet beneath the moonlight, her bare, makeup-free face still stood out like a beacon. Lin Ran beside her was far more absurd by comparison. Messy hair, crumpled tee, yet sharp, handsome features, his eyes heavy with the lazy drowsiness of someone who hadn't woken up fully. The leader stared for a long moment, then elbowed his teammate clutching the broken sword. Damn it, is there even fairness left in this world? When are these god-tier handsome faces getting nerfed? How am I supposed to find a girlfriend at school looking like this? His teammate winced in agony, following the leader's line of sight and falling silent for a beat. FR, that's ridiculous. This guy's wearing beat-up slippers and still looks better than you in full armor. But what are these two doing out here in the dead of night? Lin Ran stepped forward holding 2 student IDs, heading for the card scanner, and the leader snapped out of his daze. Ignoring his injuries, he stumbled to his feet and called out, "Hey, hold on a second." Lin Ran twisted around, ID card in hand. "What's up? Do we need to pay an entry fee?" "It's not about fees." The leader limped down the stone steps, face pale with lingering terror, and gestured wildly toward the light curtain behind him. "Something's wrong inside tonight. No clue what triggered it, but monster spawn densities at least triple the daytime rate. Our standard 4-man party barely made it 200 meters in before a pack of Shadow Wolf nearly tore us limb from limb." As he spoke, his gaze drifted down to Lin Ran's slippers, his eye twitching involuntarily. "You two are only coming in as a pair? And you didn't even bring a weapon? You're wearing slippers into a dungeon." Before Lin Ran could reply, the teammate leaning on the broken sword cut in. "Buddy, we're not trying to scare you for fun. There's an absurd number of beasts in there, all attacking in swarms. If you're just here to look cool impressing a girl, you'll be crying later once her pretty face gets torn up by monster claws." At the word girlfriend, Su Qingshue's ears burned hot. She stepped forward a pace. "You've misunderstood. We're not a couple, just friends." Her voice remained cool and clear, yet in the current atmosphere, her denial sounded like a blatant cover-up. The 4 retreating party members exchanged glances. No one said a word. Then Lin Ran ambled forward slowly, clapping the leader on the shoulder. His face was pale and gaunt from exhaustion, yet he shot the man a knowing look. "Don't worry, bro. There's no way I'd let her face get scratched up." Silence fell over the entrance. The leader's mouth fell open. The broken sword teammates stared mutely at Su Qingxue. Even the mage lying on the ground, eyes rolled back, strained to swivel his pupils toward them. All 4 looked first at Lin Ran, then at Su Qingxue, in unison. The girl rushed to deny any romance, and the boy immediately claimed he'd take care of her. Who would believe they were just friends? Su Qingshue's chest rose and fell sharply. She spun around, glaring daggers at the back of Lin Ran's head. Then she lifted her right foot, stomping it precisely down onto Lin Ran's other slipper. "Ow shit." Lin Ran hopped on one foot, clutching his throbbing left foot, his face contorted in pain. "Serves you right for running your mouth." Su Qingxue shot him a fierce glare, hurrying over to the card scanner. Beep. Her student ID swiped across the reader. Without glancing back once, she stepped straight through the blue light curtain. Lin Ran rubbed his sore instep, offering an awkward grin to the stunned leader. Just friendly banter between pals. We're pretty lively like this." With that, he limped over to scan his own ID and darted into the dungeon after Su Qingxue. Watching their figures vanish behind the light curtain, the 4 exhausted party members on the stone steps stared at one another in disbelief. The leader sighed, clapping his wounded teammate's shoulder. "See that? Still lying about not being a couple, like we'd buy it. All right, quit moping. Let's retire from dating talk for tonight, yeah?" His teammate tossed aside his broken sword and plopped back onto the ground. Isn't this exactly how campus romance works these days? They say they're just friends, but their feet tell the real story. All that bickering's making my wounds hurt worse. The mage who'd been half unconscious on the ground finally caught his breath, struggling to sit upright. "Wait a second, this doesn't add up." The mage rubbed his eyes and pointed toward the light curtain. "Did anyone catch what ID that guy swiped?" "He's Lin Ran from Class 3. The mage raised his voice sharply. "Everyone at school was talking about him yesterday. The one who awakened the lowest tier life occupation. Zookeeper." The gossipy smile froze on the leader's face. "Wait, hold on. The girl's Su Qingxue, and the guy's a zookeeper?" All 4 gasped in unison. Was Su Qingxue really heading into the dungeon with a deadweight? Into Dungeon 0, where monster spawns had tripled overnight. The leader's expression darkened. Are they insane? What are they even going to do in there? No matter how skilled Su Qingxue is with a sword, she can't protect a life class occupation holder through all that. What's a zookeeper even supposed to do out there? Hand feed the Shadow Wolves. A teammate clutched his chest, wincing through sharp pain. They're doomed. That guy's not coming back tonight. Do all the handsome faces really get removed from the world now? Lin Ran and Su Qingxue stepped through the blue light curtain, their feet landing on dungeon soil. Inside the dungeon, massive piles of crumbled ruins stretched ahead, broken streets winding deep into a thick gray mist. Visibility was extremely poor. Muffled, guttural monster growls echoed from every direction. Su Qingxue instantly channeled her inner mana, slipping into combat mode. The moment her mana surged forth, A soft sound escaped, and a pair of snow-white fox ears popped straight up on top of her head, standing rigid and alert. Right after, her skirt tugged tight at the hem as a fluffy, bushy fox tail burst free behind her. Su Qingxue stiffened slightly, hastily pouring mental energy to suppress the transformation. It was useless. In combat state, the bloodline traits of the nine-tailed fox immortal couldn't be concealed at all. Lin Ran stood beside her, holding the half-empty mineral water bottle in one hand. He tilted his head, glancing at the trembling tips of her ears, barely holding back a grin. Qingxue, Lin Ran cleared his throat. Those ears look pretty perceptive. Can you tell how many monsters are ahead for me? Su Qingxue's cheeks flushed warm. She turned to glare at him, a mix of embarrassment and irritation in her eyes. Lin Ran, if you keep teasing me, I'll leave you stranded here alone. She lowered her voice. Even so, the second their gazes met, the fox ears on her head instinctively swiveled toward the wrecked buildings to their right. Su Qingxue, Lin Ran. Got it, they're on the right. Su Qingxue bit her lower lip, the tips of her ears twitching. Shut up and watch the path ahead. A shrill wolf howl cut through the mist a woo. The first pack of shadow wolves burst out from the broken buildings on their flank. Pale gray fur, eerie glowing emerald eyes, each beast over 2 meters long. There were far more than the normal spawn rate. Nearly 30 giant wolves bared their fangs, forming a half-circle to charge the 2 humans. A putrid stench washed over their faces. Lin Ran stepped half a pace back, ready to channel his skill illumination of all rivers in his mind. But Su Qingxue moved first. She drew her standard issue longsword at her waist, flooding the blade with the nine-tailed fox immortal's mana. Icy frost instantly coated the plain fine steel blade, and the surrounding air plummeted in temperature. Gripping the sword single-handed, Su Qingxue slashed forward with brutal force. A several-meter-wide slash of frigid sword chi swept outward. Thick cracks of ice split the air in its wake. The dozen shadow wolves at the front didn't even have time to yelp before being sliced to ribbons by the frost blade. The rest of the pack froze solid into ice sculptures, then shattered under the residual shockwave of the strike. Instant wipeout. A layer of white frost covered the ground across the fan-shaped attack zone. Not a single living beast remained. Lin Ran's retinal system screen flared open, lines of text scrolling nonstop. Contractor Su Qingxue slays Shadow Wolf times 12. Shared EXP plus 120. Contractor Su Qingxue slays Shadow Wolf times 9. Shared EXP plus 90. Contractor Su Qingxue slays Shadow Wolf times 7. Shared EXP plus 70. Your level up, LV1, LV3. Lin Ran froze where he stood, his grip loosening on the water bottle. He stared at Su Qingxue's back as her white skirt swirled and her sword flashed sharp, then glanced at the empty street. Silently twisting open the bottle cap, he took a slow sip of water. He hadn't lifted a finger, yet experience points flooded straight into his bar. This was what it meant to be carried by a pro. Ahead, Su Qingxue sheathed her sword and turned back. Her breathing remained steady, barely drained of stamina. Even she stared down at her frost-coated blade in quiet shock. When facing packs of shadow wolves before, even using her basic frost blade swordswoman techniques, she'd have to dance around 2 or 3 beasts at a time, hunting for openings. Clearing a group this big would have taken at least 10 minutes. Now one single strike wiped them all out. How does it feel? Lin Ran walked forward, twisting the cap tight on the water bottle. Su Qingxue fell silent for 2 full seconds, then lifted her head to meet his eyes, shock still lingering in her gaze. Incredibly powerful. She paused, adding quietly, almost unreal. Her mana reserves and purity had both crossed an earth-shattering threshold. Told you so, Lin Ran grinned casually. Now you can cut loose and slay monsters to your heart's content, Miss Su. I risked my neck awakening a mythic occupation for you. Don't I get to reap the rewards a little? Su Qingxue's footsteps halted, her eyebrows lifting faintly. What did you just call me? Su Qingxue. Lin Ran corrected himself without a shred of awkwardness. Su Qingxue shot him a playful, annoyed glare, spinning away, a faint smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. You're nothing but a tease. Stick close, don't fall behind. Lin Ran hurried to catch up. Understood, Captain Su. They walked one behind the other. Su Qingxue led the way ahead, clearing paths, while Lin Ran trailed behind, bottle in hand. Moving at a lazy pace, shuffling along in his slippers. This was a monster dungeon brimming with mortal danger, yet Lin Ran's system alert chimes never stopped ringing. Every wave of beasts Su Qingxue eliminated flooded his experience bar. As they ventured deeper, Su Qingxue quickly adapted to her new occupation. Aside from the mana-heavy illumination of all rivers, she gradually mastered the minor innate skills of the nine-tailed fox immortal through live combat. 3 swift leopards pounced down from the rooftop to their right. Su Qingxue flicked her long sword, white light blazing along the blade. Frost radiance. Her sword strokes blurred with lightning speed, endless streams of frost sword chi weaving into a net that shredded the beasts mid-leap. Ice-caked limbs crashed to the ground all around them. Ahead at the crossroads, the gray mist grew unnaturally dense. Su Qingxue closed her eyes briefly, then opened them wide. Ice pupils. Ice crystal patterns bloomed deep within her irises. She locked onto 3 invisible shadow stinger bugs hiding in blind spots of the fog, firing 3 ice lances that pinned all of them to the stone wall. Every time Su Qingxue attacked, spun, or dodged, her snow-white fox tail swayed along with her movements, stabilizing her balance. Lin Ran watched her fluid, flawless combat form from behind, then glanced at his ever-climbing experience bar. In less than 10 minutes, a system prompt popped up again. Your level up? LV3 LV4. He couldn't help sighing quietly. Living off someone else's hard work had never felt this great. They pushed forward, clearing every enemy in their path without pause, until they neared the dungeon's core zone, where the atmosphere shifted entirely. The surrounding temperature plummeted without warning. The original gray mist slowly faded, replaced by wispy tendrils of black-purple gas. Twisted dark purple runes crawled all over the ground, snaking along shattered stone slabs and converging toward a single point far ahead. Su Qingxue's footsteps slammed to an abrupt halt. Her pair of fox ears atop her head stood rigidly straight, and the tail behind her fluffed out to twice its usual size. The smile faded from Lin Rant's face. A glaring crimson warning screen popped up in his line of sight. Warning: Abyss corruption detected in Instance 0. The source of Abyss corruption is spreading rapidly. If not eliminated promptly, this instance will be fully overrun within hours, and all life forms inside will be annihilated entirely. Current Abyss corruption progress, 47. Simultaneously, outside the entrance to Instance 0, the 4 members of the retreat squad had not yet left. They sat on the stone steps, tending to each other's wounds with bandages and healing potions. Hum! A shrill alarm suddenly blared behind them. The massive circular metal archway shuddered violently. Violet veins snaked rapidly across the once soft pale blue barrier. The potion bottle slipped from the lead male's grasp and clattered to the ground. He shot upright off the steps, his eyes locked rigidly on the gate as its hue shifted. Damn it, so this is the sign of Abyss corruption. No wonder the monster density tonight's off the charts. His teammate leaning on a broken sword paled, his voice trembling. Shit, Abyss corruption? These mobs are completely out of the meta now. Hey, devs, you hearing this? Buff Heavenly Dao supremacy immediately. The squad leader snapped back at him. Quit fooling around. Once Abyss corruption triggers, the instance administration system automatically alerts high schools and the Defense Bureau. Teachers from Jianghai High will be rushing over any minute. He swallowed hard. There are still 2 students trapped inside. All 4 turned their gazes to the violet-tinged barrier portal. Silence fell. Lin Ran, Zookeeper. Su Qingxue, Advanced Class, Frostblade Sword Maiden. These 2 freshmen stumbling into an Abyss-corrupted instance was practically handing their fates over to Yama to roll the dice. Less than 5 minutes later, squealing tires echoed across the open plaza. 2 black military off-road vehicles skidded to a halt mere inches from the steps. Doors slammed open. 2 figures leaped out at speed. On the left stood a middle-aged man in a gray-green work vest, his hair matted like a bird's nest. Teacher Zhou, homeroom teacher of Lin Ran's Class 3. His awakened civilian class vocation, spirit plant cultivator. The extent of his usual combat experience amounted to hoeing weeds and fertilizing the flower beds around Jianghai High. To the right stood a tall, poised middle-aged woman clad in black combat instructor uniform. Teacher Zhao, homeroom teacher of Su Qingxue's Class 1. Battle class vocation, Gale Lancer. A retired veteran who had fought on the front lines and slain abyssal beasts firsthand. The 2 hurried to the checkpoint terminal and pulled up the Instance Administration System's entry logs. The final 2 names blazed clear on the panel. Su Qingxue, Lin Ran. Teacher Zhou's vision swam, his blood pressure spiking instantly. Lin Ran. He smacked his thigh hard, nearly jumping out of his skin. Just look at this. That reckless brat. A zookeeper sneaking into an instance in the middle of the night to grind levels and farm materials. He paced frantically in place, gesturing wildly at the violet archway and roaring. What could he even farm in there? Trim Mist Wolf's claws? Feed dark vermin livestock fodder. He seemed such a sharp kid normally. He took a blow from failing his awakening. And now he's pulled a stunt like this. Teacher Zhao stared fixedly at the violet-black barrier, massaging her temples between her fingers. She understood far better than Teacher Zhou the gravity of abyss corruption. This was no ordinary monster riot. It meant the instance's fundamental laws had been tainted by the abyss. Even high-tier vocation holders trapped inside might not make it out alive. Su Qingxue went in too. Teacher Zhao gritted her teeth, her tone thick with heartache and exasperation. Frostblade Sword Maiden's a solid advanced class for a freshman. But how could she drag a civilian class into an abyss-tainted instance at night? He's nothing but dead weight out there. Qingxue is perfect in every other way. She's just too soft-hearted. The retreat squad's leader cleared his throat and cut in quietly. Ma'am, now that abyss corruption's flared up, can't we force our way in to rescue them? We cannot. Teacher Zhao lowered her voice. If high-tier combatants from the outside charge in during corruption, the source of corruption will go berserk ahead of schedule. The entire instance could collapse outright. They'd die even faster. The squad leader's face drained of all color. Then what do we do? Teacher Zhao's jaw tightened as she stared at the roiling violet-black mist. We wait. Either they make it out on their own, or we report to the military. And let their abyss purge unit handle it once the corruption completes. A heavy silence settled over the stone steps. Teacher Zhou slumped onto a step, burying his head in his hands. It's over. 2 freshmen from Zhanghai High were almost certainly going to perish inside this cursed instance tonight. Meanwhile, deep within Instance Zero, the scene inside bore no resemblance to the catastrophe everyone outside imagined. Violet-black fog hung thick enough to obscure sight. Countless dark purple veins crawled across the ground, stretching all the way to the ruined plaza's center. Suspended mid-air loomed a massive fleshy orb, pulsing with dim violet light. Thick, bulging blood vessels snaked across its surface, thrumming with a low, muffled beat. With every pulse, torrents of violet-black mist billowed from its base. As the fog touched the ground, it condensed into dozens of twisted, bone-spiked, aberrant monsters. This was the source of abyss corruption. Lin Ran stood 10 meters away, his eyes fixed on the status panel floating before him. Su Qingxue wasted no words. Her long sword slid free of its sheath, ice blue spiritual power surging to full power. Her fox ears stood ramrod straight, and her snow-white fox tail unfurled fully behind her. She crushed a stone tile beneath one foot, transforming into a streak of white as she charged straight into the horde of aberrants. After their brutal trek through the instance, she had fully adapted to the nine-tailed fox immortal's combat rhythm. Her longsword twirled in her grip. Frost glow. A burst of ice blue sword energy exploded outward. With an extremely short skill cooldown paired with blistering attack speed, she wove an impenetrable net of lethal frost blades around her frame. A spiked aberrant lunged forward, only to be sliced into tiny ice shards the moment it touched the sword net. Even with vision obscured by fog, her ice pupil state let her lock onto every aberrant's position with pinpoint precision. Strike. Twist. Strike again. Not a single wasted movement. Lin Ran stood back, not sparing the monsters a single glance. His entire focus was locked on the scrolling data on his panel. Contractee Su Qingxue has slain spiked aberrant times 8. Synchronized EXP plus 160. Contractee Su Qingxue has slain Shadow Stalker times 4. Synchronized EXP plus 120. Your level up, LV4, LV5. LV5, LV6. LV6, LV7. In less than 3 minutes, every monster was eradicated. Ice shards littered the ground, dissipating alongside the violet-black mist. With all minions eliminated, the source of corruption floating mid-air stood fully exposed, its thick violet-black outer shell laid bare. Su Qingxue gripped her sword with one hand, pushed off the ground, and leaped several meters skyward. Swish! A condensed frost sword slash crashed hard into the fleshy orb's shell, sending sparks flying. It left nothing but a faint white indentation. The next instant, the violet-black vessels wriggled, and the mark sealed itself shut instantly. Su Qingxue landed, her gaze darkening slightly. She resheathed her blade, her chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. As the vast reserves of spiritual power inside her churned at high speed, she drew her sword once more. A mythic tier skill. Clear, all frozen rivers. 10 massive, frigid sword blasts surged upward in a fan-shaped spread, slamming into the exact same spot on the violet-black shell. Boom. Shockwaves flattened the surrounding broken rubble. The fleshy orb let out an ear-splitting shriek. Several terrifying half-meter deep fissures split open across its shell at last. Yet the barrier still held, unable to be fully pierced. Slime oozed from the cracks, stitching them closed once more. Su Qingshue's breathing grew labored. She twisted to glance back at Lin Ran. Lin Ran set his empty mineral water bottle casually against a broken wall and stood, rolling his wrists to loosen them. All the level-ups he'd earned had vastly expanded his maximum mental power capacity. The faint, dizzy lightheadedness he'd felt earlier vanished completely. He was in peak condition now. Little Su. Lin Ran stepped to Su Qingshue's side, staring up at the colossal fleshy orb suspended mid-air. This instance's trouble runs deeper than you can handle. Stand back. Let your brother take care of this. Su Qingxue froze for a split second. She shot him a glance and wordlessly stepped 2 paces aside, moving in perfect tacit coordination. There was an unfamiliar glint in her eyes. This was the first time she'd watched Lin Ran prepare to fight personally. A man whose listed vocation was simply zookeeper, about to unleash his full power against the source of abyss corruption. If anyone from the school saw this sight, even the principal would rub his eyes in disbelief. Lin Ran raised his right hand. A semi-transparent screen unfurled across his retina, mirroring contractee skill of Lord of 10,000 Beasts. Skill: clear all frozen rivers. Current mental power cost: extreme. Friendly reminder: are you certain you can sustain this drain? Lin Ran's mouth twitched. You already loaded the entire skill sequence, and now you ask if I can handle it. The next second, his mental power began draining violently, not a slow trickle, but a raging flood pouring down his arm and pooling in his palm. Lin Ran's complexion paled a full shade. Qingxue. He gritted his teeth and lifted his hand. Ice blue light detonated in his palm, rapidly solidifying into an ice sword forged from pure condensed energy. Don't zone out. Attack together. Su Qingxue grasped his meaning instantly. She suppressed the roiling surges of spiritual power inside her body and tightened her grip on her long sword once more. They swung their weapons in perfect unison. Clear all frozen rivers. Clear all frozen rivers. Ice blue sword light swept forth from Su Qingshue's blade, biting with bone-chilling frost. Lin Ran's palm held ice, sword crashed downward, its mental power forged thicker and far more brutal. 2 fan-shaped frost storms collided, surging left and right to crash deep into the fissures carved into the corruption source's shell. Rumble. A deafening detonation shook the entire instance. Cracks spiderwebbed outward across the ground, and nearby broken stone pillars crumbled one after another. The violet-black outer shell finally buckled. Crack, 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 crack. Fractures spread across its entire surface in an instant. The shell exploded mid-air the next heartbeat. Shards scattered everywhere, melting into corrosive black craters where they struck the stone ground. The core of the abyss corruption, hidden deep within, was laid bare at last. It resembled a throbbing violet-black heart. Stripped of its protective shell, the vein-like markings across its surface withered inch by inch. It pulsed violently several times, letting out a piercing wail. Then pop. It disintegrated into ash. The air instantly cleared around them. The oppressive abyssal aura weighing overhead receded at breakneck speed. The violet-black fog faded little by little, and the gray mist returned to Instance Zero's original muted tone. Lin Ran stood frozen, the hand gripping his ice sword trembling faintly. The blade sustained itself for barely 2 seconds before dissolving into drifting motes of light. His knees nearly buckled beneath him. Damn. The skill looked spectacular, no doubt about it. But it drained mental power like a sieve. Ash still lingered suspended in the instance air when Lin Ran's notification panel flooded with alerts. Source of Abyss Corruption fully eliminated. Abyss Corruption progression of Instance 0 forcefully halted. Achievement unlocked. First solo purge of an Abyss Corruption source. Bonus EXP reward times 3 granted. Your level up? LV7, LV8. Contractee Su Qingshuo level up. LV13, LV14. Lin Ran stared at the level updates and prepared to catch his breath until a line of blazing violet text flashed across the screen. Rare loot triggered. From the spot where the corruption core had dissolved mid-air, an object plummeted downward. Clatter. It hit the stone slab before their feet. Lin Ran focused his gaze. A silver metallic bracer, etched with intricate frost runes, faint frigid chill lingering along its edges. The panel instantly displayed its stats. Obtained equipment. Frostvein Bracer Blue Rare Tier. Stats. Base Physical Defense, plus 15. Unique effect. Wearer's mental power recovery speed increased by 10. Passive skill. When struck by direct physical damage, 15 chance to auto-conjure a frost barrier, blocking 1 incoming hit. Item evaluation. Exceptional life-saving armor for newcomers just starting their vocational journey. 10 faster mental power recovery. Lin Ran glanced down at his still trembling right wrist. That single cast of clear, all-frozen rivers had nearly emptied his mental reserves completely. This bracer was tailor-made for him, but they'd fought side by side to claim it. Su Qingxue had only just awakened her mythic vocation and would continue venturing into instances to grind levels. She also desperately needed protective gear. Before Lin Ran could speak, Su Qingxue stepped forward and bent to pick up the bracer. She turned it over in her hands, then glanced at Lin Ran's ashen face, her gaze lingering half a second on his shaking wrist. She spun around and held the bracer out directly to him. You wear it. Lin Ran blinked in surprise. Why would I take this? He subconsciously stepped back half a pace. I don't fight on the front lines. You keep it for protection. Su Qingxue refused to back down. She closed the distance in one stride and seized his right wrist in her grip. Lin Ran tugged lightly to pull free, without success. Wait a minute, are foxfolk naturally this strong? Click. Su Qingxue squeezed the bracer's clasp and fastened it firmly around his wrist in one smooth motion. It fit perfectly, no gaps at all. The silver metal pressed against his skin, carrying a faint cool sensation. You burn through mental power far too quickly. Su Qingxue looked up at him, her tone utterly sincere. This will benefit you more. Lin Ran stared at the bracer wrapped around his wrist, then back at Su Qingxue. Her expression remained cool and composed as ever, yet the tips of her pale ears had flushed crimson. Lin Ran smacked his lips softly. Fine then. Guess I can't turn down this easy comfort. She's practically handed it to me. I'll hold on to it for now. Lin Ran wiggled his wrist. If I loot another piece better suited for you later, I'll save it. Su Qingxue averted her gaze. Quit your silly chatter. She paused briefly before adding quietly. Just stop recklessly draining your mental power next time. Lin Ran opened his mouth to reply, only for his legs to go weak, nearly sending him collapsing onto the stone ground. Su Qingxue shot forward instantly to steady him. Lin Ran fell silent for 2 beats. Forget what I just said. I really do need this protection right now. Su Qingxue fought back a smile, but couldn't resist rolling her eyes at him. Outside the instance, nearly 2 hours had passed. The night wind had grown far colder. Teacher Zhou squatted beside the flower beds, 2 blisters cracked raw on his chapped lips from anxiety. Teacher Zhao stood pacing back and forth on the entrance steps, her heels clicking sharply against the stone slabs with every stride. The retreat squad had not left either. All 4 huddled on the lower steps, scrolling the school forum while glancing up every few seconds at the violet-shrouded barrier gate. No one spoke. The atmosphere hung thick enough to suffocate. Everyone knew the harsh truth. 2 hours had slipped by. The 2 students trapped inside were almost certainly dead. Once the Defense Bureau's Abyss Purge unit arrived, they'd only be tasked with cleaning up the aftermath. Just as Teacher Zhao reached for her communicator to contact the Bureau again, hum. A soft hum emanated from the circular archway. The dense violet veins covering the gate froze mid-spread. Then the purple hue began to recede. 1 inch. 2 inches. Faster and faster by the second. In under 10 seconds, the entire gate returned to its original pale blue glow. Teacher Zhao froze mid-step. Teacher Zhou shot to his feet from the flower bed, not even noticing the stinging pain as his lip blisters split open. The squad leader pushed off the ground with both hands and sprang upright from the steps. It's fading. They purged this source of corruption. His eyes bulged nearly out of their sockets. Ripples spread across the pale blue barrier. 2 figures stepped out one after another. Su Qingxue walked in front. Her long black hair was slightly disheveled, smudges of dust staining the hem of her white dress. Yet her expression was calm, her steps steady. Not a single severe wound marred her body, no visible cuts at all. Lin Ran trailed behind her, clutching the empty mineral water bottle in one hand, his plastic slippers slapping loudly against the stone. A silver metallic bracer wrapped around his right wrist. The open plaza outside the entrance erupted in shock. Holy shit, they actually came out alive. The 4 squad members gasped in unison, jaws hanging open so low they nearly scraped the stone pavement. Teacher Zhao and Teacher Zhou sprinted forward without delay. Qingxue. Teacher Zhao grabbed Su Qingxue's shoulder, scanning her entire body rapidly. No external injuries, and her spiritual power depletion was mild. Her eyes sharpened as she lowered her voice. What about the source of Abyss corruption? Su Qingxue replied evenly. Eliminated. Teacher Zhao's pupils constricted sharply. She stared at her most promising student, unable to find words for a long moment. Meanwhile, Teacher Zhou charged at Lin Ran like an enraged old lion, grabbing him roughly by the crumpled collar of his shirt. Have you lost your mind, boy? Huh? A zookeeper sneaking into an instance in plastic slippers in the dead of night. If you died in there, how would I explain this to your parents? Lin Ran choked from the tight grip, quickly raising both hands in surrender. Teacher, calm down, take it easy. I'm totally fine, not a scratch on me. He gestured earnestly towards Su Qingxue, standing beside him. Classmates helping each other out. She handled the threats perfectly. I just tagged along at the back for a stroll. Old Joe's blood pressure did not drop one bit. His chest heaved even more violently. Just then, the 4 members of the retreat squad closed in around them. The mage teammates' wide, bulbous eyes locked onto the 2 people who'd emerged without a single scratch. You two, you actually cleared the Abyss corruption source. He swallowed hard. Good heavens, the 4 of us went in fully kitted out, and we couldn't even beat a regular Mistvale wolf pack. The squad leader grabbed Lin Ran's arm, his face a picture of utter disbelief. Bro, seriously, when did Frostblade Sword Maiden get this overpowered? Solo clearing an Abyss-corrupted secret realm while protecting a life-class teammate and escaping unscathed. All eyes in the crowd swiveled straight to Su Qingxue. The answer was glaringly obvious. It had to have been Su Qingxue carrying everything. As for Lin Ran, he'd only survived by the skin of his teeth. Su Qingxue's brows furrowed faintly. She glanced at Lin Ran and spoke up. Lin Ran deserves plenty of credit too. Her voice was cool, yet every word rang utterly sincere. The critical strike that shattered the corruption source's outer shell was half his doing. Silence fell over the group for a full second. Old Zhou stared at Lin Ran. Teacher Zhao stared at Lin Ran. The 4 squad members stared at Lin Ran. Then a knowing, subtle expression crossed all their faces at once. They all understood perfectly well. The school beauty was just saving him embarrassment. The squad leader clapped Lin Ran heavily on the shoulder, his tone a mix of sympathy and reluctant admiration. Bro, no need to explain. Just making it out alive without soiling your pants is already an impressive feat. Lin Ran's mouth twitched violently. These people would make fantastic novel writers with their imaginations. Teacher Zhao pulled Su Qingxue aside alone and lowered his voice. The school-wide team assessment is right around the corner. He fixed her with a stern gaze. I saw everything you pulled off tonight. Clearing an Abyss corruption source single-handedly while dragging along dead weight proves your real combat power far exceeds my estimates. Give it your all in the assessment arena. Don't let idle gossip get to you. Su Qingxue nodded lightly. She did not argue, nor did she mention the 9-tailed fox immortal. The secret was far too massive. Only she and Lin Ran could know about it for now. Meanwhile, Old Zhou released Lin Ran's collar and lectured him nonstop for 10 full minutes. His core message never wavered. Don't go gallivanting into secret realms for no reason ever again. What's a beast tamer like you doing wandering around in there? Here to feed the Mistvale wolves, huh? Once the final exams wrap up, I'll get you an internship at the Starry Sky Farm on the city outskirts. You can settle down raising 2 mutant hogs and a flock of pearl chickens. Wouldn't a peaceful graduation be nice? Do you hear me? Lin Ran nodded frantically, wearing a dead, earnest look. I hear you loud and clear, Old Zhou. You have my word. I'll keep my head down and behave. Half an hour later, outside the boys' dormitory block 3, the hallway was deathly quiet. Lin Ran tiptoed, doing his best to muffle the sound of his slippers. He pushed the dorm door open a crack, figuring his roommates would all be sound asleep by this hour. The second the gap widened, 3 pairs of faintly glowing eyes snapped open in the darkness. Lin Ran froze mid-movement. Click. The dorm's ceiling light flickered on, flooding the room with harsh white light. Cheng Yang sat sprawled across Lin Ran's desk chair, arms folded across his chest, his face completely blank. Zhu Shu leaned sluggishly against the metal guardrail of the upper bunk, his expression icy, his gaze as cold as if staring at a corpse. Zhang Chong, on the innermost bed, sat perched on the edge clutching his pillow tight, his eyes swirling with indescribable emotion. Cheng Yang's voice was unnervingly calm. You and Su Qingxue were out together the entire night, and you're only just getting back? Zhu Shu cut in straight after him. Do you even remember this is the boys' dorm? Do you remember the rest of us single losers are your roommates? Zhang Chong squeezed the pillow so hard his knuckles whitened. He stayed silent for 3 seconds, then slowly muttered 3 words. Unbelievable. The next instant, 3 men let out a unified, shrill cry of utter defeat that shook the dorm. Lin Ran, what on earth do you have going for you? Zhanghai High School sports field. Torrential rain lashed down without mercy. The dean of students stood on the podium, gripping a high-powered megaphone, his voice cutting cleanly through the patter of rain. One final restatement of the school-wide team assessment rules. Combat class students take lead roles. Support class members provide backup. Life class students are strongly advised against tackling high-risk, secret realm challenges. The school accepts no liability for injuries resulting from reckless, personal choices. The megaphone blared deafeningly. In a corner of the crowd, Chung Yang swiped rainwater off his face and clapped Lin Ran hard on the shoulder, shouting over the downpour. Whoa, Lin Ran, you hear that? Combat classes lead every team. Standard rosters are stacked to the max already. Are you seriously going to tag along as Sue the school beauty's deadweight today? Don't come crying to us if you embarrass yourself out there. Zhu Shu huddled his jacket tighter and nodded in agreement. Exactly, Lin Ran. Everyone's saying you're just there to leech off her. If you bite it inside the realm, our dorm won't even have enough people to bring you offerings. Lin Ran held a tattered black umbrella in one hand, not even bothering to lift his eyelids. So what if I'm deadweight? Being a tag-along is proof of my value too. Lin Ran casually swept his gaze across the field, and translucent holographic panels popped up one after another in his vision. Target, Lu Kai. Hidden Bloodline, Ironback Minotaur. Bloodline rank, low-tier Fiend Beast. Awakening potential, minimal. Another boy carrying a shield walked past. Hidden Bloodline, Rockscale Lizard. Bloodline rank, low-tier Strange Beast. Awakening potential, below average, further across the grounds. Ashwind Sparrow, low-tier Strange Beast. Redfang Hound, low-tier Fiend Beast. Blackscale Serpent, low-tier Strange Beast. Scrolling through the list left Lin Ran's eyes burning with monotony. Fiend Beasts, Strange Beasts, low-tier, below average. A rare mid-tier rating was considered a standout promising talent on the entire field. Lin Ran tightened his grip on the umbrella handle, his mind made up. Standing beside these Ironback Minotaurs and Redfang Hounds, the Nine-Tailed Fox Immortal existed on an entirely different level. Chung Yang was about to keep ranting when his gaze suddenly darted to the far side of the field. The crowd automatically split wide, clearing a huge, open circle. Zhao Tianyu stood with two companions, clad in an expensive brand-new dark red combat uniform. The boy on his left slung a dark golden greatsword over his back. A faint cyan wind vortex swirled around the man on his right, repelling every drop of rain before it could touch him. See that guy? Zhao Tianyu from Class 1, consistently top 3 in the grade, Chung Yang whispered, thick envy lacing his tone. Those two are high-priced mercenaries he hired, the young masters of Jianghai City's Storm Guild and Furnace Guild. Both wield epic tier classes. Zhao Tianyu's gaze swept over the entire assembly, finally locking onto Lin Ran lingering on the crowd's edge in a plain old t-shirt and sneakers. A cold smirk tugged at his lips. He tilted his head and muttered something to his two teammates. The three strode straight out to the wide open center of the field, rain pouring down all around them. Clang! Zhao Tianyu ripped the greatsword from his back in one fluid motion. Beneath the sheets of rain, he planted his feet and unleashed a sharp, intricate sword form for every freshman to witness. Each swing of the blade crackled with arcing electricity through the ring. His left teammate summoned soft gusts of wind, twisting the falling rain into swirling cyclones. The man on the right clenched his fists, tiny flames flickering to life around his knuckles as he threw punch after punch at thin air. None of the three held umbrellas. They stood fully exposed to the downpour, each performing increasingly exaggerated movements. Dazzling skill effects flickering nonstop. They'd turned the sports field into their personal talent showcase. Gasps and quiet murmurs rippled through the freshmen watching. Whoa! Lin Ran stared at the trio, putting on their flashy rain-soaked performance, his mouth twitching wildly. Show-offs, the lot of them. Aren't they freezing? Chung Yang rolled eyes hard beside him. Born into privilege and blind to their luck. How could nobodies like us ever compete with naturally gifted prodigies like them? Zhu Shu sighed quietly, landing a perfectly timed jab. Say what you will, their dedication to dancing in the rain beats the four of us lazing around in dorm beds all day. Later we'll just charge in and go all out no matter what. As the three roommates ranted nonstop, the atmosphere on the field shifted abruptly. The dense crowd parted automatically to form a wide, clear path. Su Qingxue folded her transparent umbrella shut. She'd foregone her usual casual wear today, dressed in a sleek light blue-fitted combat uniform. That accentuated her slender waist and long, lithe legs. Her raven black hair was tied high into a ponytail, softening her usual icy aura while sharpening her edge. She completely ignored every male gaze fixed on her, walking straight over to Lin Ran and stopping 2 steps away. She tilted her head slightly, fine rain droplets clinging to the ends of her hair and sticking to her fair cheeks. Her lips tugged upward into the faintest smile as she looked at him. Lin Ran, will you team up with me? The field fell silent for a heartbeat. Cheng Yang's half-spoken complaint died in his throat. At the center of the grounds, Zhao Tianyu, mid-swing for his finishing strike to strike a perfect pose, froze rigidly. Tring. His sword veered wildly off course, nearly slicing his own foot. The lightning arcs around the blade fizzled out instantly. He'd practiced that rain-soaked display solely to flaunt his strength when Su Qingxue arrived. Yet she hadn't spared him so much as a sideways glance. Zhao Tianyu glared daggers at Lin Ran, his face turning a sickly shade of green, his molars grinding so hard they ached. His two epic tier teammates stood dumbfounded in the rain, motionless for ages. Cheng Yang, Zhu Shu and Zhang Chong gaped open-mouthed, rainwater pooling in their jaws without them noticing. Lin Ran looked at Su Qingxue, standing before him, and scratched the tip of his nose. Xiao Su, that invitation of yours carries way too much firepower. Su Qingxue shot him a sharp glance, yet her tone remained earnest. Quit fooling around. The team rules only state combat class students lead. Life class teammates are fully permitted. Haven't you been wanting to give this a try? She stepped half a pace closer, lowering her voice so only he could hear. And besides, I need you. Those 4 words sent a faint jolt through Lin Ran's chest. Before he could reply, a crisp, loud female voice cut through the rain from the side. Wait a second. Jiang Kiki sprinted over, splashing through puddles, clutching a butter yellow umbrella. Her outfit stood out dramatically. Her combat jacket hung wide open, revealing a tight-cropped sports tank top paired with hot pants, showcasing her stunning figure in full view. Jiang Kiki paid no mind to the instantly strained look on Su Qingxue's face, shoving herself firmly between Lin Ran and Su Qingxue. She flashed Lin Ran an overwhelmingly bright grin. Lin Ran, Qingxue already invited you, so you're definitely saying yes, right? She twisted around and grabbed Su Qingxue's wrist warmly. Shui, teams for the assessment require a minimum of 3 members, remember? Let me join you too. Su Qingxue arched an elegant eyebrow at her best friend who'd crashed the moment, her tone playful and teasing. Jiang Kiki, didn't you say back in the dorm yesterday that Lin Ran's only redeeming quality is his looks, and all he does is hold everyone back? What made you decide to fight me over him now? Since when is he your big brother? Jiang Kiki's expression shifted without a hint of embarrassment, changing faster than flipping a page. She reached out, seized the sleeve of Lin Ran's shirt, and tugged him gently toward herself. Oh, Shui, come on. I just binged too many novels yesterday and got influenced by all those brainless side characters' nonsense. I thought it over properly back at the dorm afterward. Every protagonist surnamed Lin in those books is always a wolf in sheep's clothing, an unbeatable powerhouse hiding his strength. Lin Rance clearly got the face of a chosen hero. Su Qingxue did not refute her. Her gaze drifted down to Jiang Kiki's hand gripping Lin Ran's sleeve, then back to Lin Ran. Her eyes soft and laced with quiet hope. Lin Ran was about to pull his sleeve free when a brilliant golden light burst across his Spirit Master hologram panel. Target, Jiang Kiki, Class, Flame Spirit Mage Advanced, Hidden Bloodline. Ancient Mythic Species, Nirvana Phoenix Dormant, 95 Affinity, Current Emotional Bond Value. 45 spiked sharply from recent events and observations. Note: Spirit Points Insufficient Current. 3,000/10,000. Deep Awakening and Contract unavailable for the time being. Holy hell. Lin Ran's pupils blew wide. A Nirvana Phoenix? Another mythic tier bloodline. How many hidden treasures were tucked away beside his childhood friend? And that bond value was absurdly high. He'd barely done anything. Yet Jiang Kiki's affinity had shot straight up to 45%. Could she have secretly had a crush on him? That had to be his imagination. Lin Ran suppressed the wild shock roaring in his head. He glanced at the excitedly beaming Jiang Kiki, then the silent Su Qingxue beside them. One ice nine-tailed fox, one Nirvana Phoenix. There was no point hesitating. Whatever her intentions, he'd claim both of them for himself sooner or later. Not only was she Qingxue's closest friend, she possessed a mythic bloodline to boot. Someday he'd have both the ice and fire beauties by his side. Ahem, his train of thought had wandered off track, but Lin Ran had already made up his mind. All right then. Lin Ran spread his hands, a relaxed grin spreading across his face. Either way, you two are carrying the team. What say could a mere tag-along possibly have? More people mean more backup. More support to rely on. Yay! Jiang Kiki hopped on the spot in excitement, sealing the deal immediately. She rummaged rapidly through her backpack, pulled out a brand new folding umbrella, and forced it into Lin Ran's grasp. Take this, brother Lin Ran. Don't catch a cold out in the rain. I would have asked my mom to simmer chicken soup for you tonight. But we're boarding students now, so that's off the table. I'll bring you breakfast tomorrow morning instead. I'm craving soybean milk and fried dough sticks. What about you? Jiang Keek's straightforward bombardment of questions came at him like a machine gun. Lin Ran stepped back half a pace, clutching the umbrella, completely overwhelmed. Anything's fine, whatever you want. Su Qingxue silently shifted her gaze to the far end of the field, a faint flush tinting her fair earlobes beneath her hair. She subtly lifted her left foot and kicked Lin Ran squarely on the calf. Let's pick our assessment secret realm. Her tone remained cool, yet her quiet jealousy was impossible to hide. Ignoring the hundreds of stunned stares fixed on them, the three strode toward the secret realm selection terminal. A massive screen displayed the 4 difficulty tiers available for the assessment: normal, hard, elite, hell. The vast majority of teams lined up to swipe their cards under the hard and elite tabs. At that exact moment, Zhao Tianyu and his 2 epic tier teammates stood at the front of the elite queue. His face cold with rage. He slammed his student ID card hard against the sensor pad. Beep. The screen lit up with the selection, Elite Tier Molten Ruins, blazing with golden light that drew envious gasps from the surrounding crowd. Su Qingxue turned to look at Lin Ran. Lin Ran's gaze cut straight past every other person, locking onto the blood-red, nearly deserted Hell Tier section on the terminal's far right. Only 2 high-risk secret realms were listed there: Abyss Corridor Damaged, Eternal Night Graveyard. The words Abyss made Lin Ran's eyes light up faintly. Jiang Kiki still needed 7,000 more spirit points. Standard assessment realms awarded pitifully slow progress. If they could encounter Abyss monsters here, this wouldn't just be a simple exam. It would be a mountain of free experience and spirit points handed to him on a platter. Lin Ran turned to the 2 school beauties beside him and grinned widely. We're already here, after all. What's the point of coming to Zhanghai High if we don't tackle hell difficulty? A sharp glint sparked in Su Qingxue's eyes, and she nodded without hesitation. Agreed. Jiang Kiki gasped sharply, yet she did not shrink back. Instead, she pumped her small white fist in the air. Whoa, hell tier. This is gonna be epic. I knew sticking with Brother Lin Ran meant we'd get the biggest, wildest adventures. She threw her arms around Su Qingxue's arm and clung to her side. Ashwa. From now on, the 2 of us will be Brother Lin Ran's right and left hands. Su Qingxue wobbled slightly from her tugging, pulling her lips into a helpless smile. Could you please stand a little farther away from him first? Lin Ran wasted no time. He stepped forward and slammed his student ID onto the Scarlet Hell Tier sensor pad. The screen locked instantly, popping up a blood-red final confirmation box. Target Secret Realm. Abyss Corridor Damaged. Warning: Extreme Danger. Lin Ran raised a hand and pressed the confirm button hard. Boom. The terminal erupted in blinding scarlet light, 10 times more glaring than Zhao Tianyu's golden display moments earlier. In an instant, every murmur and chatter across the entire sports field died dead silent. 1,000 pairs of eyes, shocked, terrified, and convinced they were watching lunatics, all locked onto the 3 standing before the machine. The crowd erupted into chaos. Good heavens, they picked Abyss Corridor? Are they insane? That Hell Tier dungeon wiped out nearly an entire senior elite squad last year, bringing a useless life class student into hell difficulty with them. Even with Su Qingxue and Jiang Keek's 2 advanced classes, they're basically walking straight to their deaths. Zhao Tianyu stood not far away, seething. He first stared in utter shock at the blood-red characters on the screen. Then his gaze locked rigidly onto Lin Ran's retreating back, a malicious cold smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Forget about them, Zhao Tianyu said to the 2 teammates behind him. Some people think they're the protagonist just because 2 advanced classes are covering their backs. Zhao alone is more than enough to deal with them. They're asking for death. Let's focus on the assessment and claim first place. Let these low-tier life class trash see what an insurmountable gap truly looks like. On the stone steps lining the edge of the playground, all supervising teachers had gathered to maintain order. Old Joe had been sipping wolfberry tea from his thermos. But when the 4 words Corridor of the Abyss popped up on the screen, and he caught sight of the name of the student who'd swiped his card, clatter, the thermos slipped straight from his grasp and crashed onto the concrete ground. Scalding hot water splattered all over his trouser legs. Old Joe paid it no mind whatsoever. His lips trembled violently as he pointed toward Lin Ran, unable to catch his breath for a long moment. This little rascal, he actually dared to pick it. Standing beside Old Joe was Teacher Zhao, head teacher of Class 1. She raised a hand to massage her throbbing forehead and let out a heavy sigh. Corridor of the Abyss, a Hell Tier secret realm. The second they stepped past the dark red light barrier, a dense gray-purple fog crashed into their faces. Light was dim all around them. The air reeked of sharp, acrid blood. Every inhale left their throats parched and raw. Broken black stone pillars jutted out from the mist, their surfaces crisscrossed with dark red cracks. From deep within the fog, shrill howls echoed out at irregular intervals, piercing their eardrums with every shriek. This is a hell dungeon. Jiang Kiki had been brimming with bravado back on the playground, but now her little leather boot came to an abrupt halt atop a bleached white fragment of bone. She glanced down, then silently pulled her foot back. It's not that bad. She forced her chest out and shook her pale small fist fiercely. With my fire spells backing me up, any monster that comes our way is just free experience. Her words had barely faded when the gray fog dozens of meters ahead suddenly churned violently. 7 or 8 mutated creatures over 3 meters tall slowly crawled out from within. Their bodies were covered in jagged bone spurs, rotting flesh hanging loosely off their skeletons, with yellow-green slime dripping in trails behind them. Dozens of single eyes swiveled in unison, locking onto the 3 intruders. Roar! A low rumbling roar washed over them, carrying a putrid stench. Jiang Kiki froze mid-punch, her fist suspended in midair. The next second, she silently shuffled half a step behind Lin Ran. Another half step. Finally, she latched both hands onto the hem of his short-sleeve shirt. Lin Ran, brother. Jiang Kiki's voice wavered nervously. Aren't the monsters in this hell dungeon a little too hellish-looking? The 3 of us together aren't even enough to fill their bellies, right? Lin Ran glanced down at his shirt, stretched almost out of shape by her grip. He looked back at Jiang Kiki, who'd been bragging about incinerating every foe a moment ago, yet now cowering behind him, and couldn't hold back a laugh. Didn't you say you'd burn every single one that showed up? That was pre-battle morale boosting. Jiang Kiki shot back without a hint of shame. Do you not understand tactics? We've entered phase 2 now. Tactical observation. Lin Ran's mouth twitched. Your observation position is practically glued to my back. Outside the realm, Zhanghai High Playground. A massive electronic scoreboard stood dead center in front of the viewing platform. No live footage from inside the secret realm streamed on the screen, only scrolling team names, current points, and real-time rankings. This was the school assessment's blind evaluation rule. Spectators outside could only view scores. No one knew what unfolded within the dungeon until the assessment concluded. At that moment, nearly every student and teacher in the school fixed their eyes on the line of blood-red team information at the bottom of the board. Corridor of the Abyss damaged. Lin Ran, Su Qingxue, Jiang Kiki current points, 0. Guess how long Su Qingshue's team can hold out. Basic Hell Dungeon mobs are all Abyss type. One of the 3 is a life class specialist. They won't last 10 minutes. I'll bet Lin Ran hits the distress button first. When that guy sees Abyss monsters, will he bust out his Zookeeper class skills for them on the spot? What skill? Kneel down and feed them. A ripple of quiet snickers swept through the crowd. At the edge of the throng, Old Joe clutched a brand new plastic water cup, his fingers squeezing the plastic nearly flat. Teacher Zhao. His gaze was glued to the scoreboard. Do you think Qingxue can keep Lin Ran alive? Teacher Zhao's brows knitted tight. It'll be extremely difficult. Qingshue's combat power is truly outstanding, but a hell dungeon is nothing like an ordinary secret realm. Taking 2 people with no experience fighting high-risk monsters inside leaves almost no room for error. Old Joe's face turned a sickly green. I knew this would happen. I should have dragged Lin Ran to the Star Farm internship yesterday. Letting him feed pigs would have been better than sending him into a hell dungeon. Beside the stone steps, Lin Ran's 3 roommates, Cheng Yang, Zhu Shuai, and Zhang Chong, squatted in a row. Rainwater trickled down the steps, and sorrow hung heavy on all 3 faces. Cheng Yang sighed. Old Lin's totally lost his head over a pretty girl. He's throwing his life away just to stay with the school beauty. Zhu Shuai nodded. And it's not just one beauty, Su Qingxue and Jiang Kiki both. I'd probably lose my mind too if I were him. Zhang Chong wrapped his arms around himself, his eyes full of melancholy. Damn it, is this the price of love? Inside the secret realm, the first wave of Abyss Shadowfang wolves had flanked them from both sides, over 20 in total. Gray-black mist clung to their bodies. Rows of jagged barbs ran down their spines, and their eyes were murky purple. Jiang Kiki gritted her teeth. Cowardly as she was still an advanced class spirit fire mage when push came to shove. Orange-red magical power gathered in her palm, coalescing into a blazing fireball. Watch me. She was about to unleash the spell when a flash of white streaked past her side. Su Qingxue wasted no words. nor did she draw her blade. She simply lifted her right hand, held two fingers together, and sliced gently through the air. Ice blue spiritual power swept across the ground in an instant. Frost radiance. Frigid cold exploded outward, flattening the gray mist on the ground beneath a sheet of ice. Crack, 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 crack. The 20 Shadowfang wolves lunging forward froze mid-bite, jaws agape. The next second, every single one was encased in ice sculptures. The residual ripple of her sword energy swept out once more. Boom. All the ice statues shattered simultaneously, scattering shards of pale blue ice across the ground. One-shot kills. The fireball hovering in Jiang Keek's palm flickered twice before fizzling out with a soft pop. Her mouth fell open as she stared at the carpet of ice fragments, then turned to Su Qingxue, whose breathing hadn't even quickened. After a long pause, Jiang Kiki mumbled out a sentence. Wah, a shui. When did you secretly cheat and power up without me? We were supposed to be advanced class prodigies together. How did you suddenly ascend to a whole new tier? Su Qingxue lowered her hand, her tone calm, as ever. I've only just gotten a slight handle on it. Jiang Keek's eye twitched. You call that slight? Before she could spiral further into shock, gravel suddenly rumbled behind a collapsed stone pillar to their side. A far larger spiked mutated beast burst out from hiding. It had dodged Su Qingxue's sword strike earlier. Its claws crushed the stone beneath its feet as it charged straight for Lin Ran and Jiang Kiki at the rear. Su Qingxue's brows furrowed, ready to spin around and intercept it. I've got this, don't worry about it. Lin Ran's lazy voice cut through the air. Back in Secret Realm Zero the day before, casting Illumination of 10,000 Rivers had nearly drained him dry. But a full night of level ups and experience feedback had drastically raised his mental power cap, boosted further by the Frost Wristguard's recovery buff. He was in far better condition than yesterday. Lin Ran stood rooted to the spot, not shifting a single step. A translucent light screen flickered across his retina. Contract skill mirror activation. Illumination of 10,000 Rivers ice blue light coalesced in his palm, forming an ice blade no bigger than a dagger, yet radiating a far more terrifying frost chill than frost radiance. Jiang Keek's eyes bulged. Wait a second, whose skill even is that? Go. Lin Ran flicked his finger lightly. Swish. The ice blade blazed forth as a streak of blue light, piercing straight through the mutated beast's forehead. The elite monster froze mid-charge as frost spread rapidly from its skull to every inch of its body. In less than half a second, its massive frame turned solid ash-gray ice. Crash. It crashed heavily to the ground and splintered into chunks of frozen flesh. Jiang Keek's jaw dropped wider still. She stared at the monster's broken remains, then at Lin Ran's lowered hand. A zookeeper? Summoning ice blades with one hand? One-shotting an elite abyss monster? This is what Jiang Hai labels a life class specialist. Jiang Kiki was utterly dumbfounded. It finally dawned on her. She wasn't carrying anyone. She'd hitched a ride with an overpowered god-tier team as dead weight. Lin Ran brother. Jiang Keek's eyes lit up instantly. Throwing all mage dignity aside, she wrapped both arms around Lin Ran's bicep, pressing herself as close as she could. Tell me the truth. You're not just a zookeeper, are you? That amazing power you gave a shui? This is where it comes from, right? She tilted her head up, stars shining in her big eyes, her voice cloyingly sweet. Lin Ran brother, can you share some with me too? I'll do absolutely anything if you make me as strong as a shui. Lin Ran's hand jolted, nearly reopening his skill panel by accident. He forced a vulgar curse back down his throat. Ahem. He cleared his throat and fixed a stern expression. Classmate Jiang Kiki, don't you think what you just said sounds weird? What do you mean share some with me? Watch your wording. I'm a decent guy. Jiang Kiki blinked innocently. Can a decent guy still share some of that awesome power with me then? Lin Ran, Su Qingxue. After a brief silence, Su Qingxue stepped forward. She reached out, grabbed the back of Jiang Keek's collar, and hauled her away from Lin Ran's arm in one fluid, crisp motion. We're all classmates. Don't be stingy, Lin Ran brother. I want that ice blade too. Wait, no. I'm a spirit fire mage. I want a fire blade instead. Just share some of that power with me. Up ahead, Su Qingxue halted her steps. The fluffy fox ears hidden beneath her hair twitched uncontrollably twice. She turned and walked calmly over to the two of them. Her stunning face remained cold and impassive, betraying no emotion whatsoever. Then, with unnerving naturalness, she lifted her combat boot-clad right foot. Thud! She stepped firmly onto Lin Ran's sneaker, grinding her heel down hard. Hiss! Lin Ran sucked in a sharp breath. Focus on killing monsters. Su Qingxue tossed out 4 words before turning and marching onward. But Lin Ran had caught a split-second glimpse of her pale earlobes, flushed bright scarlet. She was jealous. No doubt about it. Lin Ran rubbed his throbbing foot, unable to hold back a grin. Jiang Kiki was still clinging to his arm, shaking it back and forth. Lin Ran, brother, is it a yes or no? Lin Ran summoned the hidden panel of the Spirit Lord ability. Target, Jiang Kiki, Hidden Bloodline. Ancient Mythic Race, Nirvana Phoenix Current Emotional Bond. 55 Insufficient Spirit Master Points current, for 1,000/10,000. Deep Baptism unavailable. He was far short of the required points, and their bond hadn't maxed out either. If he baptized her now, all she'd get was a tiny baby phoenix visual effect at most. But Lin Ran kept his expression perfectly composed, putting on an air of profound mystery as he patted Jiang Kiki's shoulder. This can't be rushed. The energy inside you is far too volatile. We'll talk about it once the assessment ends. He left the statement open-ended, dangling the carrot firmly in front of her. Jiang Kiki instantly lit up, nodding frantically. I get it. Lin Ran brother likes taking things slow, right? I've got all the patience in the world. Back on the playground, the noisy chatter among the crowd slowly died away. Every pair of eyes was locked onto the frantically climbing numbers on the electronic scoreboard. Team: Lin Ran, Su Qingxue, Jiang Kiki current secret realm. Corridor of the Abyss Hell tier current points. 450 current points. 890 current points. 1,500. The figure shot upward by hundreds at a time, as if whipped forward by a lash. Their score surged past every team, slogging through normal and hard-tier dungeons, rocketing straight to first place, leaving the second-ranked team far behind. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Who's on this team? Are they insane? This is a hell dungeon. Are they grinding daily quests in there? Wait a minute, isn't that Zookeeper on the roster? A sharp-eyed student shouted out loud. The whole crowd erupted in an uproar. Holy hell, Su Qingxue, Jiang Kiki, and Lin Ran. How is this even possible? Someone immediately thought they'd figured it out. I know what's going on. Remember the rumors from last night? Someone saw Su Qingxue solo the Abyss Corruption Source in Secret Realm 0. It must be true. Su Qingxue definitely underwent a second awakening. No Frostblade Swordswoman could possibly output this level of dominant firepower otherwise. This theory instantly won unanimous agreement from the crowd. Absolutely, that's it. School beauty Su must have awakened an epic, even legendary hidden class. Paired with Jiang Kiki, an advanced spirit fire mage backing her up, of course they clear mobs fast. As for Lin Ran, a wave of bitter jealousy washed over the crowd in unison. What's Lin Ran even doing in there? Need you ask? Hiding in some safe corner, obviously. Riding the coattails of two school beauties all the way to first place. How is this fair in the world? Just being handsome gets you an easy win? I wish I could leech off girls too, damn it. Teacher observation area. Old Joe clutched his crumpled plastic cup, his jaw hanging open wide enough to fit a fist. Is this score really all from Qingxue and Kiki alone? Teacher Zhao stared rigidly at the screen, her breathing shallow and rapid. This mob-clearing speed, not even the ace squads from key city high schools could pull this off. Just how much hidden strength has Qingxue been holding back? No one credited Lin Ran with any of the points. After all, a worthless life class specialist was already doing well just by not dragging the team down in a hell dungeon. No one believed he could contribute any combat power at all. Elsewhere, elite tier secret realm, molten ruins, on ground covered in dark red magma rock. Zhao Tianyu cleaved a giant molten beast in half with one sword strike and let out a long exhale. He glanced back at his two epic class teammates. Wind swirled around Gu Changfeng, not a single strand of his hair out of place. Zhong Lai shook his flame-wreathed fist, his face relaxed and unburdened. The three fought in flawless synergy, cutting through every monster without the slightest strain. We're in peak form today. Zhao Tianyu wiped sweat from his face, a confident grin tugging at his lips. We're definitely going to shatter the elite dungeon record. Brother Tianyu, with us two by your side, first place is locked down solid. Zhong Lai laughed. A cold glint flashed in Zhao Tianyu's eyes. Once we exit and see the rankings, I'll let that deadbeat Lin Ran witness firsthand what a true gap in combat power looks like. His words had barely left his mouth when Gu Changfeng, who'd been checking the portable assessment terminal, froze mid-finger tap. The wind swirling around his body faltered for a split second. Brother Tianyu, you'd better come look at this score. Gu Changfeng's voice tightened with unease. What's wrong? Zhao Tianyu frowned and stepped closer to peer at the portable screen. It displayed the school's live overall leaderboard. Their epic class team sat in second place with 2,100 points. First place belonged to Lin Ran, Su Qingxue, Jiang Qiki held tier current points. 8,500. Zhao Tianyu's grin froze instantly. He stared at the number, his breath catching in his throat. Impossible. 8,500 points. We killed ourselves grinding the elite dungeon for barely 2,000, and they're racking up points 4 times faster in a hell dungeon. Zhonglai rushed over as well. Instead of glancing at the score first, his gaze zeroed in on the name Jiang Qiki. Jiang Qiki's with them too? The relaxed look vanished completely from Zhonglai's face. He'd had his eye on Jiang Qiki for a long time. Spirit Fire Mage, beautiful, from a well-off family, bright and lively personality. He'd planned to ask her to team up with him after acing this assessment. But now Jiang Qiki was on Lin Ran's team, clearing hell dungeon mobs alongside Su Qingxue to carry that useless life class trash straight to the top of the school rankings. What kind of joke was this? Zhao Tianyu's crush was carrying Lin Ran, and the girl Zhonglai liked was carrying Lin Ran too. While the three of them sweated buckets slaying monsters in the molten ruins, Lin Ran got to lounge around in a hell dungeon escorted by 2 school beauties. Flames spiked sharply upward around Zhonglai's clenched fists. He forced out a defensive retort. The assessment equipment must be glitching. Or like the forum rumors say, Su Qingxue definitely cheated with a second awakening. And Jiang Qiki's Spirit Fire Mage is naturally fast at clearing crowds anyway. That deadbeat Lin Ran's definitely hiding in the back the entire time, too scared to lift a finger. Zhao Tianyu's gaze burned into the name, Lin Ran, on the terminal screen, his face turning the deep purple of raw liver. Zhonglai's words brought him no comfort. They only stung worse. Why him? He'd risked his life slaying monsters nonstop, even splurged a fortune to hire 2 epic-class teammates. Meanwhile, that useless Lin Ran got everything handed to him without lifting a single finger. Could he comfortably claim first place in the whole school, sheltered under the protection of Su Qingxue and Jiang Qiki, the 2 top-tier campus beauties? They'd fawn over a guy like Jiahao before sparing him a glance. Where exactly had Zhao Tianyu fallen short? Zhao Tianyu's grip on his longsword tightened until the hilt creaked under his strength. Zhonglai ground his teeth, flames snaking up his arms. Brother Tianyu, once we get out of this secret realm, we're making him explain everything clearly. A mere life-type class holder, what right does he have to rank above us? Lin Ran. He forced the name out through gritted teeth. Wait till we exit. I'll expose you for the fraud you truly are. The Abyss Corridor. The 3-person squad had pushed all the way to the deepest section of the secret realm. A massive black iron gate blocked the path ahead. Standing before it loomed an abyss-corrupted giant monster nearly the size of a small hill. Abyss Tyrant Lord Tyr. Thick dark chitin covered the beast's entire frame. In its right hand, it dragged a rusted giant bone cleaver, its edge scraping against the ground with a shrill, grating noise. Behind it, hundreds of high-tier spine aberrations packed together shoulder to shoulder. Gray-purple mist roiled everywhere, pressing an overwhelming aura of dread straight into their faces. Gulp. Jiang Qiki's legs buckled, and she nearly sank to the ground. Brother Lin Ran. This thing's way beyond our level, isn't it? Maybe we should tactically retreat first. Instead of stepping back, Lin Ran's eyes lit up with excitement. If they wiped out this horde, Jiang Qiki's Spirit Tamer points would jump by more than half. He glanced at his status panel. Spirit Tamer points, 6,500/10,000, only 3,500 short of the cap. Clearing this wave would bring him nearly to the threshold. He turned and lowered his voice to speak to Su Qingxue. Qingxue, we'll unleash our dual swords together this round. Let little Qiki witness just how powerful the powerhouse she'll rely on in the future truly is. Su Qingxue said nothing, only tilted her fair chin upward slightly. Then she wrapped both hands around her sword hilt. Ice-blue spiritual power erupted through the Abyss Corridor like a raging storm. A mythic tier skill. Illumination of 10,000 rivers. At almost the exact same moment, Lin Ran made no charging gesture at all. He simply swept his right hand forward. A flood of spiritual force drained out of him, draining a little color from his face. Yet he couldn't suppress the upward tug of his lips. Contractor skill mirror cast. Illumination of 10,000 rivers. 2 identical, dozen-meter-wide blades of frigid frost chi materialized, roaring forward like twin ice dragons to slash the Abyss Tyrant. Boom. The entire corridor shuddered violently, and the whole secret realm trembled at the impact. The Abyss Tyrant's pride and joy dark chitin shell shattered instantly beneath the cross-slash of the 2 mythic sword beams. Ice-blue light sliced back and forth, carving through the hill-sized monster's body clean through. The tyrant never even finished its roar before its colossal frame froze solid. Then crash. The ice encasing it exploded into shards. The Lord-tier monster reduced to frozen chunks scattered across the ground. The hundreds of high-tier spine aberrations behind it fared even worse. They'd barely taken 2 steps forward when the residual shockwave of the sword beams washed over them, felling them one after another. The gray-purple mist vanished entirely, broken ice covering the ground before the iron gate. Jiang Kiki crouched behind them with her hands clamped over her head, peeking through her fingers, utterly stunned. All the textbook theories she'd crammed for 17 years felt utterly worthless now. What kind of zookeeper could instant cast a game clearing divine skill without a wand or any charge-up time? What keeper could unleash a screen-wiping mythic ultimate with a single flick of the wrist? Were these two putting on a real-life frozen spectacle here? Ding. Secret Realm Lord eliminated. Squad Lin Ran, Su Qingxue, Jiang Kiki have successfully cleared Hell Difficulty Abyss Corridor. New all-time highest kill record set for Zhanghai High's assessment dungeon. Calculating clearance rewards. Hell Difficulty First Clear bonus activated. National Student Secret Realm Subsidy reward activated. Lin Ran receives experience reward. Level up, LV8, LV13. Su Qingxue receives experience reward. Level up, LV14, LV17. Jiang Kiki receives experience reward. Level up, LV10, LV14. Lord tier loot generated. Obtained equipment. Abyss Barrier Ring Purple Epic obtained equipment. Corridor Heart Pendant Blue Rare obtained materials. Abyss Crystal Shard times 12 obtained Student Subsidy Treasure Chest times 3. Spirit Tamer Points, 9,800/10,000. Lin Ran's eyes lit up as he scanned the flood of system notifications. No wonder the state subsidized student Secret Realm runs. This loot pool was far more generous than Secret Realm 0. A shame he was still 200 Spirit Tamer Points short. Jiang Kiki was so close to hitting the cap. He glanced over at her. She remained crouched on the ground, hands still covering her head. Mouth slightly agape, completely dumbfounded. Lin Ran couldn't help but laugh. Classmate Jiang Kiki, you can stand up now. We've beaten the Hell Dungeon. Jiang Kiki slowly lifted her head, staring at the carpet of ice shards, then at Lin Ran, and finally at Su Qingxue. Axu, if I quit the squad right now, can I still preserve my dignity as an advanced fire spirit mage? Su Qingxue sheathed her sword, her tone calm. Too late for that. Jiang Kiki clutched her chest in despair. We're done for. I'm nothing but a sidekick now. Lin Ran patted her shoulder. Don't lose heart. Even sidekicks have tears. At minimum, you're a high-grade sidekick. Jiang Kiki. Her mood sank even further. Outside the secret realm, Zhanghai High Sports Field. Numbers on the giant outdoor screen suddenly spiked wildly. Current total points, 15600. Current total points, 17800. Current total points, 20100. Current total points, 22,300. The 3 bold words "record broken" flashed across the center of the display. The whole field fell silent for one heartbeat, then erupted into chaos. Holy hell. 22,000 points. Is that even a score a human can grind? This looks more like a bank balance than exam results. Teacher Zhou squeezed his plastic water cup so hard it burst, spilling liquid all over the pavement. 20,000? Lin Ran was just a zookeeper before he went in. What kind of keeper wipes out an entire hell dungeon single-handedly? Teacher Zhao stood speechless, his chest heaving with shock. Qingxue's power. How far has her secondary awakening progressed? Legendary tier. The surrounding teachers exchanged uneasy glances, none daring to respond. After decades of teaching students, this was the first time an assessment score had left them utterly speechless. In the crowd, Lin Ran's 3 roommates, Cheng Yang, Zhu Shuai, and Zhang Chong, froze on the spot. Like 3 weeping stone statues. Lin Ran. Cheng Yang muttered under his breath. Did he save the entire galaxy in a past life? Or take a bullet for the Jade Emperor? Zhu Shuai stared blankly at the screen. Don't ask. The answer is living off women and owning it shamelessly. The teleportation array at the secret realm exit flared to life, drawing every pair of eyes in the stadium toward it. The light faded, and 3 figures stepped slowly out. Lin Ran walked dead center, relaxed and unruffled. Not a single crease in his clothes. Su Qingxue and Jiang Kiki flanked him on either side. Jiang Kiki's gaze toward Lin Ran had shifted entirely from "Brother Lin's actually pretty capable" to "Immortal carry, please take me along." She was practically ready to drop to her knees and call him master. On the other side, the teleportation array for the Molten Ruins also lit up. Zhao Tianyu, Gu Changfeng, and Zhong Lai stumbled out in ragged shape. Desperate to catch up on points, They'd forced themselves to pull monsters far above their level in the final stretch, leaving them battered and exhausted. Holes burned through Zhao Tianyu's expensive combat uniform. Half his hair singed black, and ash coated his entire face. Whispers exploded through the crowd again. Truly worthy of our two top beauties. Su Qingshue's secondary awakening is definitely confirmed. Her coordination with advanced mage Jiang Kiki is flawless. Wait, isn't this guy supposed to be the zookeeper? Looks like he's the one being kept instead. Stung by the jeering chatter, and the sight of Lin Ran lounging casually, surrounded by the two most popular girls in school, Zhao Tianyu roughly shoved a classmate, offering him water aside. Gripping his nicked longsword, eyes bloodshot, he marched straight toward Lin Ran. Clang! He drove the damaged sword hard into the cement ground at Lin Ran's feet. Glaring up at him, his composure completely shattered. Lin Ran, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Jiang Qi's brows shot up, ready to storm forward and snap back, but Lin Ran held her back with one hand, watching Zhao Tianyu with mild amusement. Go on. Let me see what other dramatic lines you've got stored up. Zhao Tianyu's chest heaved violently. With thousands of students watching, he unleashed his flood of overbearing grandstanding. You're nothing but a useless life-type leech hiding behind women this entire time. A total Jiahao wannabe. What right do you have to claim first place in the whole school? I, Zhao Tianyu, held an unrivaled first place in all 3 years of school mock battles. I remain the undisputed top swordsman of my generation. What do sidekicks like you know about true achievement weight? His voice rose higher and higher, one finger stabbing toward the sky. While others mindlessly farm low-tier monsters in normal dungeons, I spent every night in the training grounds swinging my sword 10,000 times straight. Have you ever seen the 4 a.m. sunrise over Jianghai High's training field? You people couldn't possibly understand. Zhao Tianyu ground his teeth, bloodshot eyes blazing. I challenge you to a one-on-one solo duel. No outside help allowed. Lin Ran, you coward, dare you accept? At the back of the crowd, Sheng Yang slapped his thigh hard. What a classic Jiahao meltdown. He's lost it, fully lost it. Zhang Chong covered his mouth. Damn it. Is this the legendary grand heroic aura? Ugh, he's really laying the grandstanding on thick this time. Zhu Shuai smirked eerily. We're holding steady. How about you? The whole stadium fell silent. Every gaze locked on Lin Ran. Teacher Zhou's face darkened. Zhao Tianyu, cut this nonsense out right now. Teacher Zhao frowned sharply too. The school strictly forbids private duels after assessments end. But Zhao Tianyu paid them no mind, his stare fixed rigidly on Lin Ran, voice sharp with malice. What's wrong? Scared? You put on quite the show earlier. Without women shielding you, what can this zookeeper even accomplish? Su Qingshue's eyes turned frigid, and flames flickered to life in Jiang Qi's palms. Lin Ran felt no anger. He barely stifled a laugh instead. He casually pushed the sword planted before him aside, stepped forward, and met Zhao Tianyu's glare head-on. Staring at his completely unraveled expression, a slow smirk tugged at his lips. Heh, your grandstanding can't compare to mine, wanna bet? Zhao Tianyu froze. What did you say? Lin Ran's tone was infuriatingly calm. So what if I give you a chance to catch up? I'll let you chase me, until you can no longer even glimpse my shadow. His words hung heavy over the stadium, the only sound the patter of rain hitting the ground. The next second, the crowd erupted. Whoa, he's actually taking the duel. That's Zhao Tianyu we're talking about, epic tier Thunder Berserker, top 3 in the grade. Sure, he's a dramatic Jiahao type, but his strength is genuine. A lowly life type zookeeper dueling a Thunder Berserker? Where's he gotten such confidence? Did he get delusional off leeching points in the Hell Dungeon? Does he really think those scores were all his own doing? In a corner, a bespectacled self-proclaimed expert pushed up his glasses and sighed pretentiously. TSK. What a waste. Lin Ran still can't hold a candle to Xiao. He lacks finesse. A classmate beside him blinked. Bro, what exactly are you an expert in? The expert fell silent for 3 seconds, adjusting his frames again. You wouldn't get it. I understand online hype. Up on the platform, Teacher Zhou snapped out of his shock first and stumbled down the steps. Lin Ran, you just cleared a Hell Dungeon. Don't go stirring up more trouble. Head back to the dorm to shower and rest immediately. Teacher Zhao hurried over as well, brows furrowed, speaking sharply. Zhao Tianyu, the assessment is over. Private fights are strictly prohibited by school rules. Do you want a disciplinary mark on your record? Zhao Tianyu ignored Teacher Zhou entirely, never taking his eyes off Lin Ran. At Teacher Zhao's reprimand, he let out a cold laugh. Teacher Zhao, this isn't a private brawl. Per school regulations, we may apply for an official exhibition match if both parties consent. With dozens of teachers present to supervise, we'll stop at the first injury. He spun back, his gaze piercing Lin Ran. Lin Ran. Teachers can protect you for a moment, not forever. What? Can you only hide behind women and faculty? The onlooking student's excitement stoked higher. Yeah, he acted so cocky earlier. If he backs down now, he's just a total joke. Zhao Tianyu's a sore loser, tanking the assessment and now trying to salvage his pride with a one-on-one. But if Lin Ran actually steps up, this will be utterly ridiculous. On the edge of the crowd, Lin Ran's 3 roommates stood huddled in the pouring rain, their expressions incredibly conflicted. Zhu Shuai suddenly balled his fists, eyes heavy with solemn admiration. This unyielding heroic grandstanding. I concede you're the undisputed strongest, Lin Ran. Smack. Cheng Yang slapped the back of Zhu Shuai's head hard. Strong my foot. If old Lin steps up there, that brute Zhao Tianyu will hack him to pieces. Zhang Chong wrapped his arms tight around himself, rain dripping off his bangs. He shook his head sharply, adding a bitter remark. Not even whole pieces left. This isn't heroic passion. It's straight up rushing to your death. Though they ranted nonstop, the 3 instinctively shoved their way forward, planting themselves directly beneath the makeshift dual platform. They tensed their bodies, ready to rush up and carry Lin Ran off on a stretcher the second he got knocked flying. Wind and rain lashed down. Su Qingxue stood beside Lin Ran, no trace of panic on her face. Nor did she attempt to hold him back. She simply gazed at his profile and spoke softly. You're certain? Be careful every step of the way. Lin Ran turned to her with a steady, reassuring smile. Little Su, I'll need to borrow something from you in a minute. Jiang Keek's eyes lit up instantly. She darted between them, glancing back and forth. Borrow something? What is it? Aksu, your relationship's moving fast. You're already at the point of casually lending each other belongings? Can I borrow things too? I'll take anything. Lin Ran deliberately ignored her over-the-top rambling. If she kept talking, he'd end up enduring Su Qingxue's foot stomps again later. He turned and strode toward the platform. Up on the stage, Zhao Tianyu had already climbed up with his long sword in hand. The light drizzle thickened into a downpour, splashing against his tattered dark red combat uniform. He pumped himself up, throwing his head back and laughing loudly into the sky. Ha ha! What bliss! What glorious bliss! He gripped his sword with both hands and began warming up with sword flourishes, crackling purple lightning arcing wildly along the blade. As he twirled the weapon, he shouted loud enough for the entire school to hear. The unrivaled sword maniac out of this era. The domineering king of the duel stage. The grand hero who commands true sword intent. Every student in the stands fell silent. Cheng Yang stood below, his features twisted in disbelief. How does he manage to deliver every single line with such over-the-top grandstanding? Zhu Shuai wore an extremely solemn face, full of awe. You don't get it. This isn't ordinary Jiahao energy. This is an extremely rare variant, vibrant grandstanding Jiahao. Several students in the crowd buried their faces in their hands. I can't take it anymore. Who's supposed to keep a straight face through this? Zhang Chong snorted, hands tucked in his pockets as he stared up at the sky. I'm holding steady, no problem. How about you lot? Do any of you even know what a battle-hardened veteran's resolve looks like? On the platform, Zhao Tianyu paid no mind to how ridiculous he looked. He abruptly froze his sword movements, pointing the tip straight down at Lin Ran below. Lin Ran, get up here. Don't come crying to me when I break your bones mid-duel. I won't apologize. Lin Ran slipped one hand into his pocket and sauntered slowly up the platform steps, unhurried and relaxed. He glanced at Zhao Tianyu, tone easygoing. Apologize? No need at all. I hate post-fight apologies more than anything. The two stood facing each other, less than 10 meters apart. Very well. We'll see how long you can keep that cocky attitude. Zhao Tianyu's muscles coiled tight, thunderous power roaring inside his body, fully ready to one-shot the zookeeper. Lin Ran, however, struck no combat stance at all, simply standing still. Suddenly, he lifted his right hand and curled his fingers as if gripping an invisible hilt, parted his thin lips, and uttered only 2 words. Sword come. The entire stadium froze, everyone confused by his strange behavior. A zookeeper, where would he get a sword? Yet the next instant, Su Qingxue's body jolted sharply below. The long sword hanging at her waist, quiet and sheathed until now, began shaking violently. Clang! A bone-deep, clear sword ring cut through the rain-soaked stadium. The ice-blue blade tore free of its sheath, moving as if alive, carving a perfect streak of blue light through the air before settling firmly into Lin Ran's palm atop the platform. Su Qingxue herself stared in brief shock, then astonishment flooded her beautiful eyes as she realized what had happened. This was the resonance of the contract bond between her and Lin Ran. Her spirit weapon had answered his summon. Thousands of spectators' eyes bulged nearly out of their sockets. Wait, what? The sword actually came to him. How can he draw Su Qingshue's blade from across the distance? That's the exclusive sword of the Frost Blade Sword Maiden herself. The moment Lin Ran's fingers wrapped around the long sword, the patter of rain over the arena seemed to soften by half. His entire aura underwent a complete transformation. The boy who'd stood there minutes earlier in crumpled short sleeves, looking lazy and unmotivated, now stood upright amid the downpour. Shoulders straight as a pine, the icy blue long sword hung loosely in his grip, its tip angled toward the muddy ground. He looked every inch a living sword immortal. No flashy flourishes, no crackling lightning coiling around his frame. Icy blue spiritual energy snaked up his wrists and seeped slowly into the blade. Contained perfectly within its edge, not a wisp of power leaked outward. He held his spiritual force in an unervingly steady, controlled state. Down below the arena stands, Jiang Kiki clapped a hand tight over her mouth, her big eyes wide with awe. We're doomed, a Shui. He's so handsome. How can anyone be this handsome? Su Qingxue said nothing. She stared silently at his back atop the arena, the cold calm deep within her eyes slowly warming. On the arena floor, Lin Ran slowly lifted his sword. His voice was quiet, yet carried clearly through the sheets of rain. I, Lin Ran, wield but a single sword. Every student in the crowd fell dead silent, stunned speechless by his sheer charisma. After a long pause, someone in the corner couldn't help muttering under their breath. Guys, am I the only one who thinks this is weird? When Zhao Tianyu spouted lines like that earlier, it was so cringy, total try-hard nonsense. But when Lin Ran stands here saying the exact same thing, I just think he's insanely cool. The boy beside him stayed quiet for 2 beats, then spoke with heavy gravity. Part of it's his face, part of it's his aura. But the biggest thing by far, the man can actually summon a sword to his hand. At the opposite end of the arena, Zhao Tianyu had completely lost his cool. Why did he, a Thunder Berserker bearing an epic tier class, dancing with his blade in the rain with every special effect cranked to maximum, get completely outshone the second Lin Ran raised a hand and said, "Come forth, sword"? The entire school stood dumbfounded watching him. Charismatic posturing. Zhao Tianyu roared, unleashing the full power of his epic class, Thunder Berserker. The concrete beneath his feet cracked with a thunderous crash. He blazed forward as a violent streak of lightning, great blade raised high. Swirling crackling thunder arcs aimed straight at Lin Ran's shoulder. His strike was blindingly fast, overwhelming in momentum. The crowd below erupted in gasps the instant the blade swung down. He's gonna get hit. Dodge quick. Chen Yang hopped frantically at the edge of the stands. But Lin Ran did not dodge. He only shifted half a step sideways. As the thunder blade sliced toward him, his feet glided lightly to the side and his long sword darted out in tandem. No glowing effects adorned its edge. It merely pressed flat against the side of the thunder blade. A gentle brush, a sharp twist. Clang. The thunder blade, heavy enough to split boulders in two, had its brutal force redirected at an awkward, precise angle. It swept past Lin Ran's shoulder and crashed hard into the ground, carving a deep crater. Gravel and rainwater splattered everywhere. Lin Ran stood beside the crater, not a single fold of his coat disturbed. Teacher Zhao's pupils shrank in shock down below. How is this possible? Redirection of force? This was battle instinct and sword mastery forged into one's bones. How could he pull something like this off? How could Lin Ran possess such an innate sword sense? Old Zhou stared on in shock, sucking in sharp breaths one after another. This kid, when did he sneak off to take sword lessons? And how is he this good-looking while fighting? Back on the arena, Zhao Tianyu missed his strike, his heart hammering, rage flaring hotter than ever. He spun around, hauled his blade back up, and launched a frenzied flurry of attacks. Blade light intertwined with crackling lightning. Each swing heavier and faster than the last, boxing Lin Ran in. All you can do is dodge. Without Su Qingxue, without this lousy sword, what even are you? Zhao Tianyu hacked away nonstop, hurling taunts between every blow. Lin Ran never strayed far from the storm of blade strikes. Thanks to the spirit lord of all beings contract bond sharing. Every insight Su Qingxue had cultivated over the past few days, her nine-tailed fox immortal sword forms, footwork, and even the most efficient paths to channel spiritual energy, replicated flawlessly within his body. Clang, clang, clang. With every small backward step Lin Ran took, his sword tip landed exactly on target. It hit the weakest, most unbalanced fulcrum of Zhao Tianyu's strikes. He deflected every single attack, sending jarring vibrations shooting up Zhao Tianyu's wrists until his palms stung unbearably. Lin Ran even found room to fire back at his running mouth. Nobody told you this. He twisted his sword to swat away another slash. Your lips are turning purple. Can you feel it? Zhao Tianyu's eyes blazed red with fury. Lin Ran, you can't beat me, mark my words. Down in the stands, Zhu Lu stared in complete awe. It's happening. Qing Yang leaned over. What's happening? Zhu Lu bowed his head in solemn respect. The desperate last stand of the tryhard. Zhang Chong stuffed both hands in his pockets, rain dripping off his bangs. He's already pushed to his third form. On the arena floor, Zhao Tianyu lurched backward a full step, gripping his blade hilt with both hands. He forced the Thunder Berserker's ultimate burst skill to its absolute limit. Blinding lightning exploded off his body. The great sword raised overhead. A pillar of thunder tore through the rain, vaporizing the downpour. Lin Ran, take this strike. I want to see how you block it. Zhao Tianyu's voice cracked from screaming. He planned to overpower Lin Ran with sheer brute strength, to knock the arrogant boy flat in front of the entire school. Beneath the arena, Su Qingshue's fingers tightened subtly. Jiang Kiki held her breath entirely, tiny hands clutching Su Qingshue's sleeve in a vice grip. Several teachers stepped forward simultaneously, ready to rush in and break up the fight at a moment's notice. Up above, wild winds whipped the heavy rain, snapping Lin Ran's coat hem back and forth. He planted his feet and stopped retreating. Icy blue sword chi began gathering along his blade's edge. Raindrops never even touched the metal. They were sliced into tiny fragments by the bone-chilling cold. All that frigid power concentrated solely along the razor-thin line of his sword's tip. Zhao Tianyu's thunder-wreathed blade crashed down overhead, thunder roaring loud enough to deafen the crowd. At the exact same instant, Lin Ran lifted his sword. A clean, flawless arc of sword light swept upward from below. The icy blue blade streak cut straight through the lightning, vanishing in a flash. Lin Ran's voice rang clear over the thunderclaps. This sword shall cut you down. Crack. The next heartbeat, Zhao Tianyu's thunderblade split cleanly in two from its center. The upper half of the sword cartwheeled off the arena floor entirely. The lightning enveloping Zhao Tianyu's body winked out instantly. The vicious snarl on his face hadn't even faded when the residual sword chi slammed hard into his chest. Boom. Zhao Tianyu's feet left the ground. He flew backward a dozen meters through the air before crashing heavily into a puddle at the arena's edge. His combat uniform over his chest was sliced open in a neat line, a pale frost-covered mark etched into his skin underneath. Lin Ran had held back his full power, otherwise that single strike would have split him wide open. A dead silence fell over the entire field. Rain hammered against the playground pavement in a constant drumming patter. Thousands of students stared wide-eyed at the tall, unharmed figure standing atop the arena, one hand loosely gripping his sword. No one spoke. No one dared make a sound. Lying in the puddle, Zhao Tianyu's chest burned with searing pain, his body drained of all strength, his vision blurring black around the edges. Yet the last thought swirling through his mind was not that he'd lost, nor that his skill was inferior. It was this: why? Why had he stood in the rain reciting dramatic lines and pointing his blade, only to be mocked by the whole school as a ridiculous tryhard? Why did Lin Ran pull off the exact same pose and look impossibly cool, effortlessly cool, like a true sword immortal? Heaven has wronged me. Lin Ran stood motionless, then loosened his grip on the sword. Clang! The icy blue longsword slipped free of his grasp, streaking through the air as a ribbon of light before sliding perfectly back into Su Qingshue's scabbard down below. He stuffed one hand in his pocket, ignoring Zhao Tianyu. He sauntered slowly down off the arena steps, passing through the utterly silent crowd, and tossed out just 2 words as he walked. Class dismissed. Zhao Tianyu heard those 2 words, a strange sense of bitter resignation washing over him. He ground his teeth so hard his jaw ached. Hot tears of humiliation spilled from the corners of his eyes. His head lolled to one side, and he passed out cold. The crowd automatically split wide to make a clear path for him. No one dared make a peep, not even draw a deep breath too loud. Su Qingxue lowered her head, her long black hair falling forward to veil her breathtaking profile. Yet a faint, stunning smile tugged at her red lips, impossible to hide. You pass, she muttered softly to herself. Beside her, Jiang Kiki cupped both cheeks in her palms, her eyes dazed. Lin Ran, how can you be this handsome? I'd bear your children. Lin Ran recalled his sword, turned away, one hand tucked in his pocket as he descended the arena steps. The entire playground was silent save for the endless rain. Thousands of pairs of eyes tracked his every footstep. the second his sneakers touched the plastic track. Holy hell! Lin, Chengyang, Zhu Lu, and Zhang Chong shoved their way through the crowd at once, surging toward him like three starving wolves and boxing him incompletely. Chengyang threw an arm over Lin Ran's shoulder. He scanned him up and down with an over-the-top expression of shock. I walked in just in time to watch you beat Tianyu. You said you couldn't fight at all. Lin Ran rubbed his sore wrist, staring innocently at his three roommates. I really can't. Pure brute force. Zhu Lu crossed his arms, snorting loudly, his chin tilted high. Quit spouting that old tired line. A relic of the past can't judge today's man. Zhang Chong glanced toward Zhao Tianyu, who was being lifted onto a stretcher by the school medic. He's a natural-born hero. At those words, the three roommates twisted their heads to watch the medic fumble over Zhao Tianyu's injuries. Nothing serious, the medic shouted to teacher Zhao as she hurried over. Only light frostbite on the chest, not even a severe wound. But Zhao Tianyu lay unconscious on the stretcher, his face ashen gray, still mumbling faint delirious words under his breath. Why him? Why does come forth? Sword looks so cool when he says it. I practiced 10,000 times in the rain. It's unfair, heaven has wronged me. Every student standing close enough heard him clearly. The heavy, oppressive tension lingering over the field after Lin Ran's decisive strike shattered instantly. Uffed. Someone couldn't hold back a laugh. Then snickers rippled through the crowd one after another. Quit laughing, guys, have some mercy. I can't take it anymore. He fainted just from how handsome Lin Ran was. I'm losing my mind over this. Teacher Zhao stood beside the stretcher, clamping a hand over her mouth, her shoulders shaking violently with suppressed laughter. Silence. She forced her lips into a straight line. Get Zhao Tianyu to the infirmary immediately. The second she finished speaking, old Zhou bounded over to Lin Ran in a few quick strides. He seized Lin Ran's hands and shook them vigorously, all traces of anger long vanished, replaced by an unervingly warm, grandfatherly grin. Excellent. Absolutely outstanding. Old Zhou boomed, flecks of spit flying as he spoke. I knew it. Every single student in our life studies department is talented, and all of you speak so well. I adore the life studies track more than anything. Lin Ran's mouth twitched at how rapidly his teacher had flipped his attitude. Half an hour ago, you were threatening to send me off to intern at Starry Sky Farm. Teacher Zhou, Lin Ran's performance today can't be explained away just by calling him a life studies student. Teacher Zhao cut in, fixing Lin Ran with a sharp stare. That force redirection earlier, and his extreme precision over spiritual energy control. In all my years of military service, I've only seen that level of mastery from top-tier combat instructors. Her tone left no room for argument. A regular zookeeper could never possess battle awareness like that. Old Zhou blinked in surprise. What are you suggesting then? A secondary awakening, Teacher Zhao declared firmly. Lin Ran must have undergone an extremely rare hidden secondary awakening, 1 in 10,000. The transfer ritual equipment failed to detect his true class rank. He's no ordinary zookeeper anymore, not by a long shot. Old Zhou slapped his thigh hard with excitement. Of course. How did I not see it sooner? His face flushed bright red with exhilaration. Do you all remember the historical legend? The life studies cook who underwent a secondary awakening and became the top-tier combat class ice flame magic chef. He's a hidden genius, a late bloomer. Lin Ran's exactly that type. The more Old Zhou spoke, the more convinced he grew. He appears to be a life studies student on the surface, hiding all his true potential. And the crushing pressure of the Hell-tier secret realm triggered his full power to erupt forth. The surrounding students listened to the two teachers' analysis and nodded in sudden realization. I knew a zookeeper couldn't one-shot a Thunder Berserker. Everything makes sense now. He's been hiding his strength all along. Thunderous applause for this revelation. Lin Ran kept a blank, neutral expression on his face, inwardly cheering for Old Zhou and Teacher Zhao. They'd handed him the perfect cover story without him needing to make up a single excuse. He played along, nodding gently. I'm not entirely sure myself. After my class transfer, I just felt something shift inside my body. Then when I picked up this sword just now, he paused. Somehow, I just knew how to fight. Old Zhou's eyes grew misty with emotion. What a good boy, what incredible natural talent and comprehension. He clapped Lin Ran hard on the shoulder. Starting tomorrow, you won't remain a regular life studies student anymore. You're transferring straight to the combat department to receive elite, formal training. Hold your head high, don't be afraid. Your teachers have your back. Lin Ran nodded obediently. Thank you, Teacher Zhou. Old Zhou turned to Su Qingxue and Jiang Kiki, who'd stood beside Lin Ran the whole time, his smile growing even warmer. He looked at them like a proud elder watching his own family, making Su Qingxue feel utterly uncomfortable. Qingxue, Kiki, old Zhou said earnestly. You two worked wonderfully with him today. Especially since Lin Ran only just awakened his true power, he'll need you both to guide him for a while. Moving forward, he softened his tone. The three of you building a good life together is what matters most. The entire field fell dead silent. Cheng Yang and Zhu Lu gasped in shock. Wow, old Zhou's the ultimate try-hard master. The old ones are the boldest. Su Qingshue's cold, beautiful face blazed scarlet in an instant, even the tips of the fox ears hidden in her hair flushing pink. She stepped forward hastily to correct him. Teacher, you've misunderstood. We're only teammates for assessments. Nothing like what you're imagining. Jiang Kiki opened her mouth to chime in and clear up the confusion, but her words tumbled out before her brain could catch up. Yet, teacher, strictly speaking, the three of us haven't become a little family yet. The air turned solid with awkward silence. Every student nearby stared, jaws practically hitting the ground. Su Qingxue couldn't even lift her head in embarrassment. Jiang Kiki instantly realized what she'd blurted out, clapping both hands over her mouth and shaking her head frantically. Lin Ran fought desperately to hold back a full-blown laugh, barely keeping his composure intact. Old Zhou merely wore a knowing grin, waving his hands dismissively. I get it. Young people are shy. Perfectly normal. Su Qingxue knew there was no way to clarify herself now. Every word only made it worse. She clamped her lips shut, wearing a cold, stony expression. Then, almost imperceptibly, she lifted her combat boot-clad right foot. Crunch. She stepped firmly down onto the top of Lin Ran's shoe, grinding her heel hard against it. Ugh! Lin Ran sucked in a sharp gasp of pain, his calm facade crumbling completely. Lady, Jiang Kiki was the one who said it. Why am I the one getting punished? Teacher Zhao couldn't stand watching the awkward exchange any longer, clearing her throat loudly to steer the conversation back on track. Enough idle chatter. Her expression turned solemn. I have an official announcement to make. The school administration just received notice. Hongdu High will send a team to Jianghai High next week for a friendly sparring exchange. This competition will determine how Secret Realm resources are allocated between our two schools next year. Based on today's all-school assessment results, her gaze swept over Lin Ran, Su Qingxue, and Jiang Kiki. The strongest team has been selected, the three of you. Lin Ran, Su Qingxue, Jiang Kiki. Starting tomorrow, you three are excused from regular classes to train full-time as the school's representatives for the exchange tournament. Old Zhou quickly added extra news. To reward your record-breaking performance today, the school is granting you the first-place exclusive prize. The S-rank private training room at the end of the second floor is yours to use. It's fully equipped with top-tier spiritual recovery gear, spiritual energy scanners, and unrestricted solo training access. Old Zhou leaned in close to Lin Ran, lowering his voice to whisper. Kid, that's the school's most valuable hidden resource. Spend these next few days bonding and refining your teamwork in there. Take care of yourselves. And please, whatever you do, don't pull off any more earth-shattering feats out of nowhere. This old teacher's heart can't take the shock. Lin Ran nodded obediently, his expression utterly genuine. Rest assured, teacher. You know me. I've always been quiet and well-behaved. S-class exclusive private training chamber. Bang. The heavy metal door slammed shut. All sights and sounds from outside were completely sealed off. The instant the door lock clicked into place, Jiang Kiki, who'd put on an innocent, well-behaved act outside, dropped her pretense entirely. She let out a small yelp and threw herself straight over to Lin Ran's side. Wrapping both arms tight around his arm, she practically hung off his body. Brother Lin Ran. The door's closed, it's closed now. Jiang Kiki tilted her head up to stare at him, eyes sparkling brightly, her voice sugary sweet enough to melt sugar. Give all of it to me, please. No one's watching anymore. Hurry up and grant me the power too. I want it so badly. Lin Ran's had spun dizzily from her saccharine tone. Before he could get a word out, a cool, crisp voice cut through the air. Jiang Kiki. Su Qingshue's delicate brows knitted slightly, arms folded across her chest. Let go of him first. Jiang Kiki clung on even tighter. Qingxue, be reasonable, okay? You already got yours. That huge, glowing ice sword. Everyone in the whole school saw it. I haven't gotten anything yet. Lin Ran's scalp tingled awkwardly. Why were their lines sounding more and more suggestive? Cut it out. Lin Ran pried his arm free from Jiang Kiki's grasp by force. Can the two of you watch your words? You're supposed to be the school's top beauties. He took a deep breath to calm the chaotic atmosphere. All right. You'll both get it. I wouldn't shortchange either of you. Lin Ran turned to Jiang Kiki, and pulled up the hidden panel of the Spirit Sovereign system. Spirit Bond points. 9,800 plus first clear reward for Hell Dungeon plus Lord Boss kill bonus. Current Spirit Bond points. 12,500/10,000. More than enough. He even had a hefty surplus left over. A mischievous smirk tugged at Lin Rant's lips. Looking at Jiang Kiki, practically fuming with impatience, a playful prank crossed his mind. You want all the power, huh? Sure thing. Lin Ran raised an eyebrow. Call me a good big brother first. Let me hear it. He'd thought Jiang Kiki would shy away for a moment, but she completely ignored the expected script. Without a single second of hesitation, the words spilled out loud and clear, Daddy. Silence blanketed the training room. Lin Rant's eyes blew wide open, the two staring blankly at each other. And even Su Qingxue froze stiff. 3 full seconds of dead quiet passed. Uffed. Su Qingxue, who'd maintained a cold, unyielding expression this whole time, finally lost her composure. She turned her head aside, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably as soft giggles escaped her. Kiki, how could you be so silly? Jiang Kiki only then realized she'd tossed away all dignity just to grow stronger. Her face flushed bright crimson, red enough to look like it might bleed. Overwhelmed by embarrassment and shame, Jiang Kiki spun in frantic circles across the training room floor. I want to die of mortification. Lin Ran, you big liar. You tricked me on purpose. Lin Ran laughed so hard he could barely catch his breath. You blurted it out yourself. Don't blame me. Jiang Kiki raised her fist to pound him. Lin Ran hastily stepped back half a pace, stifling his laughter. Enough. Come here, we've got serious business to handle. Lin Ran wiped the grin off his face, his tone turning slightly solemn. The process might feel a little weird. He warned her. Qingxue went through it already. You can ask her what it's like. Jiang Kiki stopped pacing and crept closer warily. Weird how? Su Qingxue chimed in faintly from the side. He'll pat your head. It's how we build the trust bond. Jiang Kiki blinked. She glanced at Lin Rant's hands, then back at her own head. That's all. She strode boldly to stand right in front of Lin Ran and squeezed her eyes shut. Go ahead. Pat away all you want. Lin Ran was left speechless by her fearless candor. He lifted his palm and pressed it flat against the top of Jiang Kiki's head. Spirit Sovereign System, activate. Spirit Bond points began draining rapidly. A pure, warm current of power flowed through Lin Rant's palm and flooded Jiang Kiki's body. A system hologram flickered open in midair, establishing trust bond. Current progress, 20. A solid starting percentage. Truly Jiang Kiki, she spoke without filter, yet trusted him wholeheartedly. To speed up the process, Lin Ran gently stroked her hair. How do you maintain your hair? It's only a little less silky than Qingxue's. As he channeled mana into her, he ran both hands through her locks to deepen their physical contact, rubbing her hair softly. Jiang Kiki kept her eyes shut, feeling the warm current seep into her scalp alongside Lin Ran's quick, gentle kneading. She gritted her teeth, struggling not to let any strange noises slip out. Brother Lin Ran, go easy. You're gonna rub sparks out of my hair. I feel like a spinning top right now. Lin Ran's hands paused mid-motion. Don't say weird stuff like that. You're a fire-attributed spirit anyway. Jiang Kiki. That's not the point here. Thanks to her full cooperation, the bond progress skyrocketed non-stop. Progress, 45. Progress, 70. Progress, 95. The temperature inside the training room steadily climbed. Scarlet gold light motes swirled around Jiang Kiki's frame, orbiting her body before coalescing into blazing fiery plumage. Boom. A clear, resonant phoenix cry echoed and exploded through the entire chamber. Bond progress, 100. Ancient mythic bloodline activated. Blinding scarlet gold flames erupted from within Jiang Kiki's body. The fire held no destructive malice, yet radiated terrifying high heat and surging life force. Lin Ran quickly pulled his hands away and stepped backward. The flames wrapped Jiang Kiki entirely inside their glow. Moments later, the scarlet gold radiance slowly faded. Jiang Kiki stood before them once more. Lin Ran gasped sharply, staring at her completely transfixed. Jiang Kiki had always been bright and bold, but now she carried a fiery, ethereal grace. Her long black hair cascaded over her shoulders, the tips dyed a vivid scarlet gold. Between her strands, a pair of scarlet gold feathered ears wreathed in faint phantom flames trembled softly. Behind her stretched a fiery feathered tail condensed from pure spirit energy, swaying gently with every breath she took. Wafting warm heat through the air, Jiang Kiki opened her eyes. A tiny golden flame flickered deep within her pupils. She stared down at her own palms, where a small cluster of scarlet gold fire burned calmly. Her already stunning features now bore an air of sacred allure mixed with delicate charm. Lin Ran stared at the enchanting girl before him, her fiery tail swaying softly behind her. That figure, that expression, how could anyone keep a clear head around this? A string of holographic notifications refreshed across his retina. Target, Jiang Kiki. Mythic occupation reborn. Nirvana Phoenix unlocked. Learned mythic skill. Ignite the starry firmament. Immediately after, Lin Ran's own system alert chimed. Spirit Sovereign shared, EXP triggered. Successfully synchronized contractor skill projection. Ignite the starry firmament. Lin Ran sensed the shift within his spiritual sea. One ice, one fire. Two mythic powers dwelled distinctly inside him. To his left rested Su Qingshue's glacial sword intent. To his right blazed Jiang Qi's Nirvana sacred flame. Lin Ran clenched his fist. This is what it means to be an overpowered stat monster, huh? I feel so much stronger now. Jiang Kiki finished reviewing her own status panel, then let out a shrill scream. I'm a mythic class now. You're amazing, brother Lin Ran. Her fiery tail whipped out behind her, and she spread her arms to tackle Lin Ran in a hug. I want to reward you. The warm, delicate girl was seconds away from crashing into his embrace. Swish! A slender, pale hand shot out, grabbing Jiang Kiki firmly by the back of her collar. Jiang Kiki flailed her limbs, frozen mid-leap. Qingxue, what are you doing? Su Qingshue's voice remained icy cool. Have some modesty. Your tail's about to set the training room carpet on fire. Jiang Kiki glanced down. The tip of her fiery tail was pressed right against the rug, thin wispy smoke curling up from its edge. She hastily lifted her tail upward. Oops, my bad. Su Qingsue tugged Jiang Kiki back to stand beside her, then cast a sideways glance at Lin Ran. Watching him daydream about having two beauties at his side, utterly lost in blissful fantasy, Su Qingsue let out a quiet huff. She couldn't let this mischievous guy get too cocky. Let's go, Kiki. You just awakened your bloodline. Head back to the dorm to shower and change clothes first. Su Qingsue gripped Jiang Ki's wrist, forcing a stern expression. Leave him here to daydream alone. He needs to cool his head. Lin Ran immediately protested, crying out in despair. No way. You're leaving me all alone in this empty training room? How could you bear to do that to me? Jiang Kiki was dragged toward the door, twisting to stick her tongue out at Lin Ran. Naya. Have fun by yourself, brother Lin Ran. As the two neared the exit, Su Qingsue suddenly halted her steps. She let go of Jiang Kiki and turned to stride quickly over to Lin Ran. Before Lin Ran could react, Su Qingsue rose onto her tiptoes. Her soft, warm lips brushed lightly against his cheek, light as a dragonfly skimming water, carrying a faint, crisp, sweet scent. The contact lasted only a split second before she pulled away. Lin Ran's mind went completely blank on the spot. Su Qingshue's ears burned bright red. She lowered her voice, biting her lower lip as she murmured a line. Consider this your reward for doing well. After that, she grabbed the still dazed Jiang Kiki and fled out through the metal door as if hurrying to escape. Bang! The heavy door slammed shut once more. Lin Ran was left all alone in the S-class training chamber. Two faint floral fragrances lingered in the air, one cold, one warm, each belonging to the two girls. Lin Ran brushed the spot on his cheek that still held the soft warmth of her touch, lingering in the sensation for a full 30 seconds. Then he slowly lifted his head, a world-weary look settling over his face. He stuffed both hands into his pockets, tilting his head 45 degrees upward to gaze at the training room ceiling, and let out a long, heavy sigh. Oh well, now I walk my solitary path of overwhelming power.